Well, a very good evening, everybody. Nice to have you covered wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Welcome to Spreyton side of Thursday Night Motorsport. It is week 6, night 4. We're in the second half of the opening term of the season already. Yes, it is absolutely bloody well flown on by, and we cannot wait for the next instalment tonight. First up, it is Sprint Racing Thursday. 5 races on the bill for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 3 of them here at the Virginia International Raceway for Spreyton side of Formula V. Then on to the legendary Oran Park Raceway in Narellan in the southwest of Sydney, which now looks nothing like what it used to. Thankfully, the legacy lives on in the virtual world, and we will bring you some Porsche Cup sprint racing action on the back of a couple of very busy weeks where we've had a 60-minute race 2 weeks ago, a sprint race last week, Brands Hatch. Now we get stuck into more sprint racing at Oran Park, and yes, Term 1, Week 6. Yep, already the second half of the term. 5 down, 5 to go, and by the end of tonight, 4 weeks left. This time next week, we'll be getting stuck into Thursday Night Motorsport, by the end of which drop rounds will come into play. That's how quickly this season's flying on by. We're also excited by some teasers from iRacing this week with regards to rain, and it's imminent, and we're looking forward to that. There's the agenda for tonight. Let me quickly run through it for you. It's a 5.22 kilometre course. Not the longest circuit we've ever had for Formula V, but certainly it is a long slog around here for these cars. 2 minutes 20, the current fastest lap time for John Merritt. So that means by those numbers, we should sneak in 5 laps in the opening race. I'll be disappointed if we don't. 42 degrees the track temp, 25 the ambient at the moment. We'll update those details for you in just a moment. Championship points coming into this round as we have a look at that now for you. 364 for Adam Lavis, 349 for John Merritt. Geez, it's nice, tight, and juicy at the and spicy at the top of the proceedings there, isn't it? Magnificent. Sam Chapman on 309, 277 for Phil King, and 232 for Tony Baker make up the top 5. Won't bother beyond that because cars are already lining up on the grid here in Virginia. Let's have a look at, it's a depleted field, but let's have a look at how it lines up for you, ladies and gentlemen. Reminding you that it's very much going to be a case of quality over quantity tonight. John Merritt and Adam Lavis, speaking of quality, right off the front row. Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson, second row. Colin Bennett, Phil King, third row. Chris Stark, fourth row, alongside Matt Schmidtke. Fifth row, Brian Bullock and Pete Matson. Sixth row is where you'll find Wayne Visser and Joe Baldwin. Seventh row, Sam Chapman and Michael Ladder. And Chapo's the one banging and clanging in the background there at the moment. He's in the booth with us. We might be able to have a chat to him. Are you hoping to avoid any sort of trouble tonight, Chapo?
Yeah, I hope to avoid any trouble. I'm just loading back into the server now. It's going well. I also don't have force feedback, so no force feedback and no gear leaders at this point.
Oh dear.
We'll see how we go. Thank God for a reverse top 10 potentially, right?
Exactly. Same format as usual, ladies and gentlemen. Let's remind everybody as we welcome Daniel Correa. Let's remind everybody, Daniel, of the current server conditions here as I set up the tripod for last lap Zach if it needs a run tonight. It is the 20th of May 2024. Well, it's not, but it is. It's 11:26 a.m. in the morning, which is Eastern American Daylight Time. Then, of course, 25 degrees the ambient and 46 on track. So those on-track conditions there, Daniel, the bitumen, she's real hot tonight.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks, Zach. It is. So it's going to be a challenge here at Virginia for these Formula V drivers, especially considering the length of the course. It's a little bit longer than one might see some Formula Vs race around, but nonetheless, Virginia International Raceway is always a good time, and I don't expect this to be any different, as it looks like we're getting ready to take off.
It's a big night of motorsport. As soon as we're done here, practice from Bahrain gets underway, round one of the Formula One World Championship. But for the first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, we go racing on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club on February 29. Beautiful start, John Merritt. Adam Lavis up the outside, and Tony Baker slots back in. Clean running to the first corner. John Merritt, Adam Lavis, Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson lead us through. Catch us if you can is their message to the rest of the pack. Yep. For those of you looking in the diary, February 29, the leap day of the leap week of the leap year, which also doubles as a Summer Olympic year, as we know. We're off to Paris.
Oh,
the Matildas are. Whoa, trouble for Phil King. And he has plummeted right down the order to the back of the field. No Michael Ladder on the grid here. So we're down to 13 already, which is not a good sign of things to come, let me tell you. Back on board with Tony Baker. Not that I got up to anything special today, gentlemen, but I know people do go out of their way to celebrate February 29 and do something special with that extra day they've got once every 4 years. There are a few people actually legitimately celebrating their day of birth today rather than acknowledging the aging process one day either side every other year. And happy birthday to those people. We'll happily joke about them being their age divided by 4. Until the cows come home. But yes, February 29 has been gone, come and went. And of course, when 2020 rolled around, the last time we had February 29, not only was the day a Saturday, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club wasn't even a thing yet. It was in the early stages of coming to being, but it wasn't actually on broadcast yet. So yes, we are broadcasting on February 29 for the first time ever, and we're bloody excited to be doing so. Down the back straight for the first time. This is Sam Chapman. We're riding with him now. He's got John Merritt a little bit further up the road. That is his prime target. So too Adam Lavis as far as this championship fight is concerned. But it might be a tough night at the office for our mate, as he detailed in the opener there as well. In the meantime, good start John Merritt, good start Adam Lavis, Tony Baker and Kevin Henderson. Whoa, Brian Bullock's gone. There's a position for Chapo, and he's taken Pete Matson through with him. So tough running in the early stages. Already Phil King and Brian Bullock coming unstuck. Wayne Vissers just getting by Bullock now as well. John Merritt 2:26.21. Now the reason why I said if we're lucky we'll get 5 laps here is because being a 5-kilometre course, being Formula V, Merritt to the inside, Lavis to the outside. Merritt holds on to the lead for now. Pete Matson's dropped down to 10th position in behind Joe Baldwin as Chapman gets on by. Plenty happening out here at the moment. And look at Tony Baker raging up around the outside trying to get by Adam Lavis as well. So a 2-minute 20 lap time around here. That's going to give us 6 laps every 14 minutes, which is noted for the... Whoa! 3 wide through the middle of the circuit. Keep it clean, you blokes. Chapman's in the dirt. Keeps it on the black stuff for the main part, but does lose some ground. He's got a handful tonight, has our mate Sam. We'll get back to him very shortly for more on that. He has got his hands full in every sense of the word. Good evening to you, Mr. Dench, along the Murray River. What an exotic location to be watching a GSRC broadcast, and no doubt a lovely sunset down there in Progressive Civilization as well. There you go. You can tick the dig at Queensland off your bingo card very early in the piece tonight, folks. And unintentionally so. So, 2 minutes 20 per lap. If we base it on that, I was a little bit worried we'd only get 4 laps in this opening race. We will get 5, and we'll do it comfortably by about 35 seconds or so. Have a look at Lavis now, up the outside, gets by Merritt. That'll put him on the inside for the next corner. But if Merritt can hang there, he'll have the inside running for the right-hander that follows the left-hander. Tony Baker's trying to get a double toe here. and opts to tuck in behind his teammate. Lavis wants to lead from the front for the moment, and Merritt allows him to do so. Kevin Henderson slots back into fourth, just playing the patient game at the moment. I sense that if these four can stick together, we'll have a last lap thriller on our hands tonight.
Ooh.
That was close. That was really close. So, by my numbers, folks, 5 laps for this sprint race with a fair bit of overtime attached to it, about a minute and 40 seconds worth. So that'll be nice fun. And then for the second and third race, we should be looking at 7 laps there. So only an extra 2 laps. As opposed to, whoa, that's nice and spicy between John Merritt and Adam Lavis. There was almost contact there, and that would have spelled curtains for them. We talk about this all the time with regards to Formula V and lap distances and race lengths and the like. Because of the fact that the racetrack is 5.5 kilometres long, we had that situation. Jesus, Chapo's in all sorts of trouble tonight. If you're hearing the same sound effects we are at home, ladies and gentlemen, he's in all sorts. And he has now seen himself out as a result of that. Not a bad move. Michael Ladder's got an internet outage. That's why he's not on the grid. We often add 3 laps to the length of the first race and get the length of the second and third race. But because this racetrack is so long and the laps are so long, 2 minutes 20 apiece, we're only going to get an additional 2 tonight. But we're certainly going to get our value for money here. There's no doubt about that. Colin Bennett getting by Chris Stark off screen at the moment. This top 4, throw a bloody handkerchief over them. It's absolutely fantastic. No further action. Joe Baldwin contact with Matt Schmidtke on the second lap. We're riding with John Merritt, looking out the back to Kevin Henderson, Tony Baker and Adam Lavis are there as well. Baker wants to go to the front. Lavis has been left behind. Baker wants to lead it and Merritt will happily let him do so. Because at the end of the day, John's got 117 points on Tony in the championship fight, right? He doesn't need to worry about his teammate at the moment. In fact, from a team standpoint, this is good for him. Adam Lavis is who he's got to worry about. He's got him covered at the moment. Kevin Henderson's not even in contention on 190 points right now. So Merritt's only really got to worry about Lavis here. He can let Tony go and lead from the front. But we know what John will play out long game here, and that is the slipstream, the drag, the draft. Hopefully lead it at the line. Look at Lavis with a run up around the outside. 2 laps to go. So Lavis leads Baker, Henderson and... Merritt leads Baker, Henderson and Lavis 2, 3 and 4. And Lavis is slotted back into 4th now despite that good run. So these two will work on... This is Merritt and Lavis I'm talking about. Racecraft. Do you want to be leading at the start of the last lap? Where's the best place to be? They'll be working that those tactics out as we speak here and setting themselves up for a crack at the line next time by. White flag in the air next time by the line. This is the best battle on the racetrack at the moment. There are some minor battles taking place beyond that. 1 and 2 car battles respectively. Matt Schmidtke's just got by Wayne Visser, who's fallen off the racetrack, but Visser will hopefully get back on and be able to continue here. Look at Lavis just biding his time and waiting for his moment. Very tactically going about his business here, Daniel Correa.
Yeah, and it's one that we've come to see over the course of previous seasons. And this one, it's the draft is so strong in these cars, and Virginia has so many chances for you to utilize that draft. Why would you push so hard to get to the front and waste tires and put in all this effort when you know that you can hang back and most likely pick up the pace with the last lap to go? So that's what Lavis is doing. He's just sitting back. He's letting everyone else punch the hole in the air. You can see that Tony Baker and John Merritt are almost trading places, but they're generally 1-2 going down the back straight here. Kevin Henderson's also looking at an opportunity, but I think even he's thinking, someone goes deep. That's Tony Baker.
Tony Baker has come unstuck. A minor slip and slide, and it's cost him 2 spots. Merritt leads from Henderson. Henderson perfectly positioned. Lavis well within his chances here. Main straight. White flag in the air. One more time around. Let's do it. First last lap thriller of the night. There goes Henderson ranging up the outside. Lavis gets the double toe. We're 3 wide on the run down to turn 1. Lavis, the last of the deep breakers, 2 deep, opens the door up. Hendo, Merritt straight through. Baker as well. Lavis had the lead, loses 3 spots. And look who's coming. Sam Chapman's only a second away. Whatever all the banging and clanging was, it doesn't seem to have phased him. He's right there. If it all blows up in front of him, he's going to pounce. Hendo goes to the front. Hendo leads. We've seen Kevin Henderson take race wins in Formula B before in photo finishes. Is this a return to form for Hendo? We'll wait and see. It's such a lottery from this point on. Merritt right there, the old experienced hand, the master of Formula B on the platforms of the GSRC. Perfectly positioned. Have a crack in the slipstream when we get back to the main straight. Just over half a lap to go. Hendo's got the lead by the narrowest of margins. Merritt's there. Baker on the comeback after that little slip up on the previous lap. And Lavis, I'm not sure what's going on, but that's the second time tonight we've seen him come unstuck and lose ground at turn 1. Back straight, drag race, Baker skipping through the dirt. Chapman's latched on. We've now got a race in 5. The slipstream here, as Josh Zuno said in the comments a moment ago, immense. Down the back straight, Chapman with the toe, tucking in behind Lavis. Find your dance partner, find your teammate. It's now or never. Henderson leading, not anymore. Merritt to the inside. Merritt to the inside, takes the lead away of the narrowest of margins and consolidates it. Keeps Hendo at bay. Baker's right there.
Oh, Chapman's managed to go fast.
Chapman stands on the authority and goes through on Lavis and snatches 4th. Main straight, the run to the flag. Can Merritt keep Hendo at bay? Let's wait and see. Here they come. Barney's got the flag in hand. We will pick them into shot right now. Merritt gets it by a nose from Hendo. Baker. Chapman finishes with the fastest lap of the race. An 18.6! An 18.6! No one had gone sub 220 prior to that, and Chapman punches out the fastest lap of the race. Most positions gained as well, 9 of them. And Merritt holds off Hendo by 0.07 of a second. What a move this was from Chapman. The big sender around the outside. The heave-ho. He didn't care. He just barges his way through, palms Adam Lavis out of the bloody road, and Chapman goes through to 4th. Hey, what about that? Hendo behind Merritt and Baker behind him. And then you, Chapo. Very nicely done.
Yeah, no, that was all right. I did hear, I had a few sound effects over the mic. It does have a microphone off button, but it must not be working.
Must not be. I was going to say, I don't know if everybody at home was hearing it, but I certainly was. It sounded like you had the drums out, mate, and you were having a jam.
Sounds about right, to be honest. That feels like having a nice gun. So, yeah, anyway, I better grit up. But, yeah.
So far, so good, mate. Go well for race number 2. We've got you starting from 7th. Behind you will be Tony Baker, Kevin Henderson and John Merritt. At the front, it'll be Phil King and Pete Matson taking us to green. Joe Baldwin, Chris Stark, Colin Bennett, then Adam Lavis. How unlucky for Lavis. Led into the turn 1 on the final lap and came home 5th in a 5-horse race, which was 4 for so much of the duration. 7 laps ahead of us here. Green and away. 13 Formula V's lining up, ready to rock and roll. Matt Schmidtke showing off the road at the moment. That's a bad start for him. Wayne Visser and Brian Bullock were just there behind him.
Pete Matson!
Pete Matson, no brakes into turn 1, he's gone. Matson's thrown it down the road and thrown away any opportunity of factoring in the fight here. So, just to make sense of all of that, Colin Bennett, a shocker of a start as well, down 6 spots from 5th on the grid. Brian Bullock now showing down in 11th. He's come unstuck. Oh, it's all going to hell very, very quickly. Wayne Visser from 13th is 9th. That's a solid start. Matt Schmidtke, the only other one to really make ground at this point, and Wayne Visser as well. So Brian Bullock started 11th and has dropped to 13th. Pete Madsen started 2nd, has dropped to 12th. Matt Schmidtke's made ground, moved forward. Whoa, look at this. Oh, this is antsy in the early stages. Chapman's right there with Lavis. King and Baldwin. Baldwin leads. Merritt's right in there as well. So too is Tony Baker and Kevin Henderson. They've swamped on Starkey. Look at this log jam as we hit the back straight. Hold your breath, Australia. It could all blow up in our face at the end of the back straight here, given how well tightly bunched they are. Have a look at them, 3 wide. Chapman on the outside, Merritt and also Tony Baker holding the inside of the circuit here. The room to move swallowed up Tony Baker. He had to tuck in behind Merritt. We're riding on board with Chris Stark, who's getting a tremendous tow there and goes down the inside of Sam Chapman. Can he get the job done? Can Starkey go to 6th? No is the answer to that, because Chapman's going to get him on the inside, but he'll get it back anyway because Phil King's in the grass. And he'll get Chapman through on the follow-through as well. Well done, Starkey. Up in a 5th spot all of a sudden. What was going to be 7th. He's taken Hendo with him too. Off goes Joe Baldwin. Off goes Joe Baldwin. Baldwin's out, cutting the grass. Loses out to Adam Lavis and also John Merritt. It's 3 wide down the main straight. Starkey's now 4th. Have a look at Starkey. What a run this is. Baker and Stark to the outside, and all of a sudden, Starkey had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Uh-oh.
Oh, no, Joe Baldwin.
Baldwin's gone. Everybody checked up, and Baldwin was the unlucky one that didn't come out of it cleanly. Through no fault of his own. We're still 3 wide. This is the replay. Yep. Just rode the wheel of Chris Stark, and that was never going to end well. Unluckily. For Trucker. John Merritt. Look at the old experienced hand here. So Merritt, Lavis, Baker, Chapman, Stark, then Henderson, King and Visser, the top 8 at the moment. King and Visser are side by side, but we cannot take our eyes off this front 6. And what about Starkey right there in the fight? Take nothing away from the top 5 because they are regular front runners in this caper, but it is terrific to see Starkey up there pulling punches with the best of them. We often talk about Formula V being a lottery, but sometimes you've got to ride your luck, and Starkey's driven really well in the opening 2 minutes here.
He has, as we hit the 4-minute mark here, so Adam Lavis doing a much better job this time round than last time by. As you said before, he got caught out a couple of times trying to go wider on the outside line into turn 1. It looks like the V didn't slow enough for him, but this time he actually manages to take the lead from John Merritt. But have a look at Sam Chapman, who's close by, and we know how deep into the corner Sam Chapman can go. So now Lavis will lead this pack of 6 cars, with Sam Chapman in P2, John Merritt in P3, Tony Baker, his teammate, in P4, Kevin Henderson there in P5, and Chris Stark just dragging on the back there in P6. Wayne Visser 2.8 seconds back, so he will not join this group of cars at the front unless, of course, something does go horribly wrong, in which case we might have a bigger battle. But for now, it's going to be 3 wide. There's a little argy-bargy there, but no, no foul.
And what about Chapman in the middle? All of a sudden making his presence known. The top 5 from Raceway have found their way back to the front. Lavis forces them all to the outside. That benefits Hendo, but Hendo's going to be hung out to dry when they get up to the left-hander because Merritt's there on his inside and Chapman's there forcing the issue in the middle as well. All of a sudden, Hendo's boxed out of it, muscled out of it. He's got Baker right on his clacker and also Starkey getting down the inside of Baker as well. Go for it, Starkey, down the inside. Good boy. Have a look at this. Unfortunately, the left-right nature of Virginia means he's back in 6th already, though. More importantly, that top 4's now got the minorest little bit of breathing space. On 5th and 6th, Baker and Stark. They're 1.8 clear of King and Vizza. Look at Chapman with the run. Chapman to the lead. Lavis with him. And then in behind, it's Merritt. 4 different teams in the top 4, 5 in the top 6. Baker, the only duplicate team member in here for Pulse. Look at him go. Oh, this is elbows out racing. It's terrific. You cannot be that aggressive in Formula V because they're open wheelers. No door-to-door contact here. Off goes Chapman. Chapman slipping and sliding. He'll cost himself 3 spots. He'll get back in the tie. We won't pay too much of a price for that one. The invoice, not as large as it could have been if it was on another point of the racetrack. Look through the middle. Here comes Hendo. 3-1 of the run down the back straight. Common practice tonight. Commonplace in Formula V at the best of times. But the first time we've seen it in the fight for the lead on the back straight for the first time, and there's definite contact there. Baker's moved his way up at a 3rd spot, got by Lavis. Stark and Chapman are there, begging these blokes to reel them back in, and the jockeying for position, the squabbling has enabled them to latch back on. Here we go. Up the main straight again. Merritt, Henderson, Baker, Lavis, Chapman and Stark. That's a very good question that I don't know the answer to, only because the liveries are very, very different. I've been a little bit put off by that, so correct me if I'm wrong. But there could... Oh, no, trouble! Chapman's got himself into trouble for the 3rd week in a row. He's got into the side of Tony Baker. There'll be an invoice to pay for that, I would imagine. Baker's out of the fight for this 2nd race at least.
Yeah, there's the touch there. Definite
wheel-to-wheel contact. The one thing you try and avoid in Formula V, for very obvious reasons. Thank you, Josh Juno. Thank you for the clarification on that. Might ask Chapo what's going on with his livery, actually. Because it looks nothing like Chris Stark's. That's the only that was the only off-putting aspect of that, to be fair. Hendo back to the lead and got by Merritt. Will Lavis and Stark be able to reel them back in, or have they bolted? It's only 0.6 of a second. If they can somewhat stay within that 1 second range, and when they get to the back straight, they'll latch back on. The tow around here. An incredible benefit to anyone that's the recipient of it, that's in the slipstream here. Watch them, back straight, let's go. Joe Baldwin on pit road, has been for 3 minutes. Here comes Lavis, pushing Merritt through. He'll get by Henderson that way. How good's this? What are we, like 4? We've got another 3 to go. I'm not sure my voice box is going to hold up tonight. 15-second penalty for Sam Chapman. That rules him out of the fight. And that'll drop him down a bunch of spots when the finishing order is corrected at the end of this, but it won't affect his starting position for the 3rd race. And again, that's the one flaw of iRacing. Forget about the rain. That's the next flaw I need to fix, as far as I'm concerned, that we can apply in race penalties to resemble what the results are going to be, so that we have that truer realism aspect of penalties being applied and the implications thereof for the next race grid, etc. and so forth. I think you know what I'm trying to say. I'm getting myself confused at the moment. There's that much going on here. But yes, Chapman will pay a price for that, and he will. Whoa. Look at that. Look at that. Chapman's back in 3rd, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter a rat's, unfortunately for him. A 15-second penalty coming his way at the end of this race. Can he play a role in helping Starkey to the win? What he needs to be worried about is the way the numbers are at the moment. He'll drop to 9th, sorry, behind Matt Schmidtke. He'll drop behind Matt Schmidtke in 9th. He's only got to put another half a second on Schmidtke and he'll be right. He'll drop to 8th. But it is a big drop in terms of the points that he'll lose in his pursuit of the likes of John Merritt and Adam Lavis. But we'll worry about that when we get to the end of the night. Merritt, Chapman, Lavis. Well, hang on. Oh, geez, Blinky Bill moment there for Chapman. Everybody collectively holding their breath. And look at John Merritt. Just so effortlessly. Riding around the outside. Finding his way back into the train. Onto the back straight again. I mean, yep. Tony Baker's place in the top 5 has been taken by Chris Stark. Daniel, we know that. And we know that Tony will end up ahead of Sam Chapman on corrected order at the end of this race, barring a small disaster. But take nothing away from the other 4. Merritt, Chapman, Lavis, Henderson, and even Stark in this fight. I mean, the way these guys are turning it on tonight, doesn't matter who's in this lead fight, eyes are glued to it.
Yeah, exactly that. They've been showing us what top-tier Formula V racing can do. And there's these 5 who've done a really good job to stick with each other. And again, we've mentioned it before, but the draft is so strong. So as long as you don't do too much of a mistake, you will be able to maintain the draft on a pack like this. Unfortunately for Tony Baker, he did drop back due to that spin from Sam Chapman, to which, of course, he got a 15-second penalty for. So that will fix itself up towards the end. But look, watching these 5 is almost like watching someone try to solve a sliding jigsaw puzzle. They leave each other enough room, and that's it. Chris Stark has to go onto the grass to avoid Adam Lavis there. I don't know if race control have a look at that.
Lucky not to have been it.
Exactly, very lucky. So he managed to keep it out of the wheels there, so neither of those drivers will take any damage. So luckily they'll be able to continue racing, and the loss isn't that large. They'll be able to make that up in no time. We've got, what, 12 minutes 30 out of 15, so we'll most likely see white flag on the next one. And
yep,
so
white
right
flag
now,
next time by.
Yep, so John Merritt will lead the pack here, but he can't rest at all because he knows he's got 4 very angry Hornets behind him. Actually, take that back, it's 3 because Kevin Henderson makes his way to the front.
What about Hendo? What about Hendo? He's been in the fight all night. Virginia isn't everybody's favourite piece of real estate in world motorsport, but for Hendo, this is a really good night out. So far, so good. Let's hope it stays that way.
Curious if he went too early, though. Curious. So he obviously saw the opportunity and he's taken it, but you know that John Merritt's going to come flying past. So I wonder if it's just I had the opportunity, so I took it, or whether or not he's got something else brewing in mind. But for now, it'll be 2 wide as they run down to the final sector.
Indeed, it will be. A lap and a quarter to go. Merritt, Hendo, almost wheel banging there. Incredibly tight down the back straight between that duo, and Adam Lavis now weighing into things as well here, making his presence known, wanting a piece of the action. They'll come to the white flag this time by. Merritt's got the field under control at the moment. He leads this thing to the white flag. Last time round, this is where Adam Lavis made his move. He led at turn 1. He then dropped all the way back to 5th at the end of the final lap. Lap 7, let's do it. Don't count Stark and Chapman out yet either if they can get a tremendous tone. Merritt's been passed to the left by Adam Lavis, passed to the right by Kevin Henderson as you look at it. And this time round, no repeat of the same mistake from Adam Lavis. He finds his way to the front and he leads. Very nicely done. And that has invited Chapman and Stark back into the fight. And I had a dyslexic moment. It was Merritt being passed by Lavis on his right and Hendo on his left. It was the opposite way for us who were looking on from the aerial shot. Round they come. Skycam, of course, brought to you by Waste Options. It's Thursday night motorsport for Spreyton Cider. It's the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It's a 5-way fight for the lead. However, we're rubbing Sam Chapman out of this one, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit Jamie Whincup Bathurst 2017-esque or 16-esque at the moment, in the way in which Chapman is factoring in the fight on your screen, but he's not factoring it on the results sheet once his 15-second invoice is applied. But he's setting himself up nicely for a real proper crack in the third race. And Tony Baker on that note has got himself back to 6, back by Wayne Visser, back by Phil King as well. Adam Lavis controls the field. He legged us to the back straight for the final time. Hold your breath. It's over in about a minute, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of overtime attached to this one. We wouldn't have it any other way. It's a 7-lap race. A little bit of a bobble, a little bit of swaying, zigging and zagging, and not enough to stop John Merritt from finding his way through on the inside. Merritt goes to the lead halfway down the back straight, takes Chapman with him. Chapman's got through. Adam Lavis has been hung out to dry here. Hendo makes it 3, does he? No, not quite.
Oh, Sam's got so deep!
Contact! Chapman's thrown it down the road. There was contact between Lavis and Henderson as well. Starks got through to 4th. Starks got through to 3rd. Chapman's hung back out into 5th place there. Starkey's 3rd. Merritt's got clear air. The king of Formula V on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club does it again. 2 from 2 for John Merritt, and on a hat-trick with race 3 just around the corner.
I think Sam Chapman
gets the job done. Chapman will go back to 4th. Starkey gets a podium. Hendo's the unlucky one, thrown out of the fight in 5th, and Lavis holds on somehow, despite late race contact with Henderson, to score 2nd. Oh, you've got to love Spreyton side of Formula V on a Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. There might not be too much in the way of depth in this field tonight, but the quality is first class. There's no doubt about that. Oh boy, take a breath.
I was just coming to check on your breath, Zach.
Hello, Chris Stark. Nice to have you on board, mate. I heard someone enter the room. I just hadn't got back to see who it was, but well done. Great performance from you, mate. I mean, take nothing away from those around you. You were the somewhat unknown entity in all of that, and I say that with respect because I think that's as high up as we've ever seen you in Formula V without throwing it down the road or coming unstuck. Really good racing, mate. Really clean racing for the most part. 99% of that thing was really, really clean, and a top 3 result for you. And the slipstream here tonight is just incredible.
Oh, I had a couple of spaghetti arm moments, but the boys were really looking out for each other. My spot, I don't think I blinked for a couple of corners there. That was really good racing. I was up there with some really fast guys, including John Merritt, and everyone was respectful. There were a couple of little touches, and everyone sort of gave each other space. I was just so glad Netcode didn't kick in, otherwise that might have ended badly for quite a few of us.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Our mate Joe Baldwin got back out there into 8th place. Pete Matson was 9th, and Phil King was 10th. That was race 1 that we've got on screen there at the moment for you, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. Caught out by the totem pole. Can we have a look at race 2, please, Daniel Correa?
We can, but unfortunately it hasn't finished yet. So
copy.
We'll have to wait.
What happened at the start? I saw a crash at turn 1. Someone got fired off.
It hasn't finished yet, which is interesting because
For me, I'm sure we are.
even though we are into the warm up now. Yeah, there we go. That's the last car going by the line now. So we should be able to have a look at it. There we go. Excellent. 2-minute warm up ahead of us here.
Warm up now.
Joe Baldwin was 5 laps down. He won't be classified. And Michael Latta was 7 laps down. He won't be classified either. Of course, he was already a non-starter by virtue of that network dropout earlier. Pete Matson was the one that came home late. That's why we've all been waiting. 2 minutes and 18 seconds down. At least you didn't get lap, Pistol. Merritt from Lavis, Chapman, Stark, Henderson, Baker, Vizis, Schmidtke, King, and Bullock the top 10. Bennett was 11th. Forget about everybody else. Starkey, what's the plan of attack here for race 3, mate? I mean, it'll be 3rd because Chapman will get relegated 15 seconds. In fact, can we bring those results back up, please, Daniel, just so that we can let everybody know? I think it'll be 8th. I just want to confirm it. Yeah, it will be 8th for Chapman, but by the barest of margins, he only got a 2nd on Matt Schmidtke there. So it will be actually 7th. My apologies for Chapman, and everybody else bumps up 1. What's the plan of attack here, mate? Do you work with Chapman? Do you work with somebody else? I mean, to keep it that clean for another 7 laps would be an achievement in itself.
I tried to get a better start. I bogged it down. Let me turn that off. I bogged it down and I got swamped at the start. Otherwise, look, I don't think it would have improved my finishing position. That was insane. What happened to Joe? I saw him driving in the dirt at one point.
Yeah, he threw it down the weeds at one point. In fact, there was a fair bit of grass clipping going on tonight.
Yeah, I saw Sam tap Tony. That's unfortunate because it was a good group of cars. Big gaggle there.
It was, and actually that's the other thing as well, mate. Essentially, Baker out, you in, and the rest of the top 5 was the same. So, all being fair and equal, we should have a 6-car fight this time around. So I'm excited already.
Oh, it was so close. Like, I swear, look, I was looking at 3 screens, and I'm looking to the right, and the tyres were so close. I'm going, please don't nick out, please don't nick out.
And this is the thing, like, when I turned up tonight, I was like, oh, geez, small field, what's going on here? But for anyone out there that's not necessarily a fan of Virginia, tonight's proving why you should be. Tonight's proving that it's not... The reputation of it doesn't precede it. Like, I mean, it doesn't stack up. The racing has been top shelf. We're in for another great instalment now. We'll let you go and line up on the grid, Starkey, and we'll talk to you at the end, mate. Good luck, go well.
All right, boys, I hope this race is as good as the last 2.
Let's hope so. I do indeed. My voice box, maybe not so much. John Barrett and Adam Lavis, the front row. Chapman edged out Stark on timing there, but we know that Stark will finish third once the points are distributed. Henderson and Baker from the third row, Vizza and Schmidtke the fourth, King and Bullock the fifth. And it's funny because my SDK timing screen had Stark as third anyway, so I'm not sure what exactly happened there. Bennett and Matson from the back of the grid, and Baldwin from the inside of row 7, the last of the field. Who's your tip and why, Daniel?
I mean, you got to say John Merritt, right? He's just been so consistent here. So I feel, yeah, I feel like he's done 2 of the 3. So let's see if he can make it 3 of 3.
Let's wait and see. We'll know in about 17 minutes' time. Don't forget, of course, a quick turnaround after that, top of the hour. Porsche Racing, sprint style from Oran Park. First corner, John Merritt leads the field to turn 1 yet again. It is the 18th race of the championship. It is night 4 of week 6 in turn 1 of 2024. It's one of the best outings of Formula V we've had so far this season. Let's hope we finish it off with another showstopper. Single file formation, line astern at the moment. Off goes Brian Bullock, off goes Wayne Vizza. Vizza was only a small clipping of the grass. He's okay, but Bullock's now plummeted to the back of the field. There he is, top of shot. Merritt has Lavis and Chapman for company. Chapman hoping to redeem himself after wearing the rubber of race control in the earlier consolation fight. So, for those of you that are new to Formula V, of course, that opening race was 10 minutes. We inverted the top 10 of that for the grid for the second race. And then the finishing order of the second race set the grid for the third. Colin Bennett now off the road as well. So slowly but surely, the contenders are seeing themselves out. The freight train at the front is thinning in size. Oh, bang, off goes Wayne Vizza again. There he is, on the grass, pointing the wrong way. So that's 3 in the opening lap. Bennett, Vizza and Bullock. Matson's there. Front of them are 3 wide. King's got Baldwin and Matson for company. They're 1.6 off Baker. Forget about them. Baker and Schmidtke need to get on with it, though. Because if they don't, this train of 5's gone. They'll be squabbling for 6th on their own. Chapman to the front, then to the grass. Chapman to the front and then the grass, and still there. Merritt gets on by. But he'll consolidate and keep Lavis at bay momentarily. Out of the final corner, the run up the main straight. Pick your dance partner, pick your lane and stick to it. Let's go. Merritt, Lavis, Henderson and Chapman. Stark's got in there as well. Chapman hung out to dry. Schmidtke goes on through. So too Baker. It's a race in 7 at the front. Let's go. 6 laps to decide the winner of race 3 of round 6 of Spreyton side of Formula V. And look at Schmidtke trying to send that thing around the outside. He was 7th a minute ago. Schmidtke's 3rd on the inside of Stark. And then there were 7 in the fight, and genuine contenders at that. Contact Stark and Henderson. Little bit of wheel-to-wheel stuff, but not enough to bring them undone. Maybe unsettled them a smidgen, but they're okay. Baker's there fighting with Chapman at the moment. Bang, gone. Chapman's out of it. Gone. Down to 8th. Hit the grass again. But it's a race in 9. We haven't had a fight this packed all night. Will it stay this way? I don't think so. Chapman and King are now too far off the train. Schmidtke's back to 5th, having been gobbled up by Henderson. Baker's there wanting to capitalise on it as well. Baker, of course, trying to redeem what might have been in race 2 before he got into contact with Chapman.
Oh, Joe Baldwin on the inside of Tony Baker.
What a send that was.
That's a great
What a
move.
send that was from Trucker.
And I'm still reeling as to how Matt Schmidtke had the run of his life coming out of the final turn. Went from 7th to 1st. Unfortunately, was on the outside of turn 1, and we've seen that isn't the best of places to go because you do get cut off by those on the inside. But now he's just sitting there in 5th, and I'm curious to see if he'll get a run just like it. He's got so much time left on the board, but oh boy, if those guys at the back can just close it up a little bit, we will have a proper fight between 9 cars.
Indeed we will. Although, yeah, it's now 1.4 from Henderson. Back on! There goes Starkey! The kiss of death! Stark, unfortunately, off the podium and out of contention. So maybe we'll have an 8-car drag.
Just got a little too close there, tapped the back, and went for a spin. Luckily, it doesn't seem like there's too much damage. Having a look at the front of that car, but that has meant that he's dropped down. Let's see, we're talking 6 or so seconds down there in the P10, so that's going to be a rough one for him.
Brian Bullock's next target at the moment, and then 5 seconds from there, no hope of latching back onto the train from there, unfortunately for Starkey. It was all going so well until it wasn't. Chapman on the inside of Baldwin. Baldwin fighting back on the inside of Chapman and just wriggles him out of the road. That was a little bit of hip and shoulder from Joe, I think. Very nicely done. No holds barred between some of the committee members here. And it's one of our Hall of Famers. It's our life member. It's Adam Lavis that leads us. Merritt wants to do something about that, does so. Skips through on the inside. Well done, John. Hot lap to the lead again. Matt Schmidtke back into 5th place now, all over the back of Joe Baldwin. They've lost ground to Kevin Henderson. Hendo's lost ground to Lavis and Merritt. Lavis and Merritt, I think they're as good as gone. And Hendo, unfortunately, given the nature of this circuit and given what we know about the slipstream benefits here, the drag and draft, Hendo's a sitting duck at the moment as far as I'm concerned. Look at the run from Matt Schmidtke. Straight up on the outside of Joe Baldwin to the inside for the next corner. Schmidtke goes to 4th. Chapman looking to push Baldwin through. Chapman decides he's better off in Schmidtke's lane. In fact, he's better off left of Schmidtke down the inside. They're going to be 3 wide. Chapman to 4th on the inside with a great run. Is he bringing Tony Baker with him? Potentially. Why not? And Phil King as well. Oh, 3 wide. Oh, contact on. See you later. Baldwin and Schmidtke bite the dust. Baker was piggy in the middle, and he's the only one that survived. Schmidtke and Baldwin whippersnipping. And all of this will just be putting one hell of a big smile on the faces of John Merritt and Adam Lavis, who have no company at the moment. Kevin Henderson's 1.3 seconds away. That's too far out of the draft as far as I'm concerned. 2:20.209 for Sam Chapman to be bettered by Phil King with a 2:20.205. That's thousandths of a second we're talking here, ladies and gentlemen. That's how narrow a margin these Formula V races usually are in terms of the lap speed, the times between the competitors, the winning margins, the pole margins, etc. and so forth. We're talking tens of thousandths of a second in some instances. Thousandths in this instance, 4 of them to be precise. Merritt leads from Lavis, Henderson, Chapman, Baker. Now, is Henderson okay where he's at, or are they about to reel him in? Baker leads the charge to try and get by Chapman. Phil King's come along with him. And then it's a 4-way fight for 7th. Joe Baldwin's found his way to pit lane. That might be his night done.
Yeah, there's a key question here that the guys from 3 onwards, 3rd onwards, have to ask, which is if they can settle aside some differences for now. We're at the 8-minute mark. So if Adam Lavis and John Merritt fight each other heavily throughout this, then they'll catch up with absolutely no issue at all. But if the 3 behind, or I should say the 4 behind, keep fighting as well, then that gap will stay steady. So what Kevin Henderson has to do is basically hope that Adam Lavis and John Merritt fight each other as hard as possible up until the white flag lap, in which case you'll see that 1.3 second gap come down towards closer to the 0.5, and then there'll be a proper fight from all of them there. But if they don't fight, then in that case, there's no hope for those cars behind, and they'll only be fighting for 3rd. But John Merritt seems to have overtaken Lavis there on that back straight, and so I think they will continue to fight all the way to the end. So the question will be, who can maintain the better minimum speed? Will it be the front pack of 2? Or will it be the rear pack of 4 and an SP sort of license there for Joe Baldwin because of the racing room incident and Matt Schmidt?
That's fair. But in the meantime, can we just admire the fact that Hendo's been gobbled up? So Hendo was a sitting duck. We were proven correct with our theory on that as Lavis goes to the front. Baker with a stand down the inside of Chapman. Baker trying to go to 4th. Baker does go to 4th on the inside of Chapman. Chapman will be back on the inside of the next left-hander and get him back again. Chapman back to 4th. They're trying to track down, reel in Kevin Henderson. They've done it once. They've got to do it again. Can Hendo bring that train with him to catch Merritt and Lavis? Is Merritt content to sit in and follow Lavis for a little bit for that slipstream benefit on the back straight? It's now 0.8 between Hendo and Merritt. It's the closest it's been for 3 laps. We're about to have a race in 6 again, Daniel Carriassar. And that gets me all sorts of excited, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's always great when we see larger and larger packs that's racing, and the reason why is because they do say less is more, but in Formula V racing, more is more. John Merritt, of course, leading the pack here. So now, as you said, Zach, Kevin Henderson has managed to bring up that gap. He is now in the red zone. You can see on the timing tower there, we go from white to yellow to red, and basically almost like traffic lights, except we substitute the green for white. And when we get into that red zone, it means they're in basically an attack range. So you can see that they're all in one nice form line. Phil King may be able to join up. If the guys in front fight too hard, then he'll be able to join up there and make it a battle for 6. But Tony Baker right now is biding his time. He goes into the yellow, as you can see on that timing screen, which means he's just outside the attack range. But for those front 4, it is on. There's 11 minutes to go, so we've got 2 laps left. Adam Lavis is going to try and take the outside line here. It's not always the safest, but you can make it work. Sam Chapman might even look for a deeper shot again. No, he's probably learned from the last time. So Lavis will go out, but he wiggles, and that allows John Merritt and Sam Chapman to go through.
And what about Chapman? Wedging his way through not just Lavis, but also Henderson. He was in the middle. If it had got too tight, he would have been wrong place, wrong time. Main straight, 2 laps to go. Merritt's the one with breathing space now. Chapman, Lavis, Henderson, Baker have left Phil King behind. It's a race in 5. Virginia International turning it on a Thursday night on the platforms of the GSRC. Hendo squeezing his way through the middle of Chapman and Lavis. Hendo to second on the run of turn 1. Too deep. Surely too deep, Hendo.
No, he's held it. Look at him go.
Well done. I thought he was going in too deep. I thought Chapman was going to get him back on the up and under. Didn't. Lavis, oh no, tucks back in for the moment. White flag in there next time by the line for these guys.
So John Merritt's done a really good job here. He stayed out of the chaos, and he's just well in front. He is under threat from Kevin Henderson here, but we've seen that John Merritt's been able to keep really relatively fast lap times around the circuit. So as long as... Actually, no, I'm going to take that all back, and the reason why is because Henderson is... Yeah, exactly right. Henderson is climbing up real fast now, and we've got the back straight to go. And we've seen how fast Sam Chapman can go when he's got a draft. So considering that I'm seeing all red on the top 5 there, that means that this back straight is going to be pretty eventful. Now, we saw them go 3 wide before. That didn't go so well for Joe Baldwin and Matt Schmidtke. So I wonder if these guys will do the same. We talk a lot about strategy and we talk a lot about what's best, but we all know that when you're a driver, when you put that visor down, sometimes all you see is that first spot. It doesn't really matter how much time is left, how many laps are left, how much fuel is left. It's just like, there is a spot at the front and I want it. So we'll see if that goes again. Now, Henderson's going to try and move to the left side. You can see Sam Chapman's going to get a draft now because Henderson's braked out of that, which means he might go. Actually, it looks like there might be a gap forming in the middle. No, it won't. He's closed it off quite smartly. So Sam's going to try and go on that outside. Actually, that's the tamest I've seen all night, which means Kevin Henderson goes into the lead. Sam Chapman in P2 and John Merritt will be P3.
How about Hendo finding his way back to the front? But Chapman, Merritt and Lavis know that he's in the wrong position at the moment. To be able to keep those three at bay as a collective, let alone individually, on the two longest straights here is easier said than done. Look at them. One will go left, one will go right. Hendo gets swamped, gobbled up, gone. See you later, back to third. Chapman will lead him at the post. Merritt to the outside. White flag in the air one more time around at Virginia International. Round 6 almost at an end. 5.5 kilometres separate us and knowing the result of this one. But if things stay as they are and Merritt stays where he is, round honours go his way once again. The 064 is charging in this championship fight at the moment with 4 rounds to go. Plus a few kilometres. Hendo to the outside, gets the toe from Chapman. Lavis trying to find a way on the inside. Merritt to the inside. Gets by. Hendo back to third. Don't rule out Tony Baker either. Look at Tony Baker lurking, looming large. Brilliant. The way in which he's been able to fight his way back into this one, not once but twice tonight. Further beyond this, Matt Schmidtke, Pete Matson and Brian Bullock are fighting for 7th at the moment. Disappointing end of the night for Schmidtke. And of course, Chris Stark's got his hands full with Colin Bennett in the battle for 11th. Joe Baldwin's off, outdone for the night is the club president.
This is actually very smart from these guys. None of them made an attack move because they knew that the backstreet was coming. So they're playing this very, very clever. They know it's the last lap. Kevin Henderson has to break it just a little bit more because John Merritt's slowing him down. So Sam Chapman's managed to get a really good pass out of the exit. I'm curious to see if this is strategic. You can see the serpentine movement there. He's trying to break that toe. I don't know if you can do that.
No, there'll be a post-race investigation. Just by the way, Chris Stark on Brian Bullock, the number 9. So allegedly not holding brakes. Race control will have a look at that post-race. Let's call this one to the post. 3 wide down the back straight if you don't mind. Look at Hendo charging. Hendo down the inside. Hendo. Merritt goes deeper. Chapman holds Hendo to the outside, but that's going to put Hendo on the inside as they go through the left-hander. Lavis and Baker, I think, are too far back at this point. It's a race in 3. But Merritt's got it 1, I think. Merritt's got it 1. Chapman and Hendo, no, wheel banging as they came through the last corner. It's going to be a photo finish for the Miners. It's a hat-trick of wins, a clean sweep for John Hotlap, Merritt and Virginia International. The Prince of Formula V does it again. Photo for second. Chapman got it from Henderson and Lavis, and Baker rounded out the top 5. What about that? Yet again, Merritt found his way to the right place at the right time. And on a racetrack where we saw so much overtaking, so much... Look at this! Look at this! Brian Bullock crashes over the line. Spins to the checkered flag. Contact with Pete Matson and Matt Schmidtke on the way there. That'll be something for race control to have a look at. Unlucky for Chris Stark, back to 12th in the end behind Colin Bennett. But on a racetrack where we saw so much squabbling, we saw so much variance in race results, we saw so many drivers squabbling for position, but Slipstream playing such a role. John Merritt to win 3 from 3 proves why he is the Prince, the King, the Master, the Maestro, the doyen, the legend, whatever you want to call him, of Formula V. Words fail me because you run out of adequate superlatives after a while to describe that man as far as this caper is concerned. He's almost to Formula V. Well, he is to Formula V what Denchi is to GT3 and Porsche racing and what Merritt was before Denchi came along and dethroned the Master. So the prince and the bride and the groom, the bridesmaid, you know, all those superlatives. I'm absolutely worn out already, and we've still got 2 Porsche races to come. What about that for a night of racing on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club? That is why we refer to Formula V as the main course here on a Thursday night. They only get to race on a Thursday, February 29, once every 28 years. Next time Feb 29 comes around, it'll be a Tuesday night, and then a Sunday, a Friday, a Wednesday, a Monday, and then back to a Saturday. In that order over the next 6 leap years, ladies and gentlemen, 2028, 32, 36, 40 and 44. Minus 112 years off all of those if you're living in Queensland, of course. But the reality of the matter is that for a Thursday, for a February 29, the first time we've ever gone racing on the platforms of the GSRC on February 29, these guys have ensured that it will be memorable for all the right reasons. Magnificent stuff. Merritt, Chapman, Henderson, Lavis and Baker the top 5, and 1.1 seconds covered the top 5. Darky, unlucky.
This is the only car I use a clutch in, so usually my foot's hovering above the brake pedal because I left foot brake. So as we're going down the hill, I had my foot hovering above the clutch and I ran straight to the back of John. Jeez, I feel bad about that. I'm so glad I didn't wreck his race.
Unlucky for you, mate, but I mean, take a lot of promise out of the pace that you've got here, and hopefully the results will come more so in the form of what we saw in races 1 and 2, more so than race 3.
Yeah, so I got a great start, race 3. Like my poor start, race 2, but a good finish. But then I got a poor finish because, yeah, brain fade with foot.
Now, as far as the rest of the championship's concerned, let's have a look at the next 4 rounds here, if we don't mind. We go from Virginia to yet to be confirmed, and Sam Chapman might be able to shed some light on that for us. Chapo, Le Mans, Sebring or Daytona, where are we going?
Well, we're not sure yet. So I'm going to put up the poll in the next day or so for everyone to vote in. It will be in the Discord. I'll notify everyone as to what we're going to do. It'll be up for the next sort of probably 5-6 days, and then the day before we'll let people know what won, and we'll go into that race, and then into the endurance race, the endurance championship of the GSRC starting that Sunday. So exciting stuff next week.
Indeed, and we're looking forward to it immensely. We've lost Starkey for the moment. He's dropped down to race control. I'll catch up with him a little bit later on, hopefully. He got pipped by Colin Bennett by 0.08 of a second in the run to the line there. Just extraordinary. Circuit to Lebanon in round 8, TBA in round 9, Phillip Island round 10. Phillip Island will be not dissimilar to tonight. It'll be fantastic. They won't just be 3 wide, they'll be 4 and 5 wide there. We've seen that before. That'll be a great way to bring the curtain down on the turn on Easter Thursday. Although there goes any chance I had of going to the Lions Magpies match at the Gabba, because that is Easter Thursday that we head to Phillip Island. And I'm probably not here for round 8 either for Lebanon, so I'm not missing much. Let's bring you two blokes in at this point in time, Sam Chapman and John Merritt. Chapo, nice recovery.
Yeah, it's all right recovery. It was decent enough pace. It was just erratic. Like I did end up getting the clutch and the gear levers working with 15 seconds left to grid. So we did get out there. We did manage to get it working, but only just. So we're still finding our feet in the car throughout the night. But yeah, that was a good recovery. I'm surprised you got as far as your first race. It's really unfortunate what happened to Tony in that second one, and then that third one was just real up and down night, huh?
Yeah, real up and down night indeed, and yet again you managed to wear the wrap of race control.
Yes I did. Not enough practice and a couple of winter drinks, but it was it's an unfortunate one. We just checked up that little bit more. I wasn't planning on overtaking, we checked up that little bit more than effectively what I expected, and then turned in, and it was just that real slight touch on the end which just spins these. So really unfortunate for Tony, but that's it's a shame.
Indeed. As far as you're concerned, what would your personal preference be for next week, please?
Gee, my personal preference, I mean, originally I was thinking Lamont, but it will be an enormous lap. I think Sebring could bring some action, probably more so than Daytona. Daytona would probably be a bit. We'll bring some broadcast action, but pretty easy from a sort of in the seat standpoint. It'd be much of a draft fest. But yeah, who knows? I mean, going into tonight, you were saying, oh no, it's too long for Formula V here at Virginia. Look what a dish done.
Well, to be honest with you, I knew that we'd get good quality from you blokes, because as long as you kept it clean and it didn't blow out. And it certainly didn't. The racing was incredibly, for the most part, clean tonight and tight knit. We were certainly what's the word I'm looking for? I've just drawn a blank here. We were certainly given more value, more bang for our buck, more value for money than we would have probably anticipated. That's what I was trying to say. But for the haters of Virginia, this should hopefully, events like that, races like that, should hopefully entice a few more back in.
Absolutely. I reckon Virginia's a great track. I remember when I first was starting with the wheel on Forza, when Virginia came up, I went, oh God, absolutely not. But in Forza you could ride the walls, so a wall track was great. And here you end up in no man's land. But now that they've sort of learned how to keep it roughly on the black stuff, I mean, because we had a few off tracks tonight here and there, but it makes it a lot more interesting. And it does mean that you can make an error and go off and come back on without complete death, unlike, say, Long Beach last week.
Indeed. Now, with regards to the slipstream here, mate, were you surprised at just how strong that was?
I wasn't overly surprised. They're really long straights, and actually that section, that sort of the S's sort of section going as you go towards the end of the track, is effectively a straight in these as well. You don't tend to try and go 2x2 just because you know that massive straight is coming up and there's not that much point getting ahead. But yeah, it's a serious amount of slipstream around here, which I thought would be interesting, because it is that sort of interesting in-between point as you get to the line as to whether or not you want to be ahead or not going into that line. If you've got the inside line, you definitely can take the inside line and then be ahead if you're behind, and you definitely don't want to be ahead going onto that final straight, because you have 4 or 5 guys absolutely monster you.
Indeed. With regards to the cleanliness of the racing and the tight-knit racing there, I mean, obviously you, Hendo, Adam and John are regular forefront runners here, but nice to see Tony Baker having a side run. Nice to see Matt Schmidtke in there momentarily, and also, of course, Starkey as well.
Yeah, Tony was doing a great job. Starkey was doing a brilliant job out there tonight as well, with that front pack, playing it really well. I think he went around that final race, unfortunate, but he was doing a great job up there. But yeah, no, great racing. We had great racing with Hendo, with John, with Adam. We had a great front pack up there that just made things really interesting.
Indeed it did. All right, mate. What's your role for Porsche's, please? Are you jumping into race control?
No. I think I'll spectate or just pray and forgive myself for the sins.
Feel free to hang out here with us if you want, and have a chat, because my vocal cords are on Struggle Street after what you blokes dished up. Well done. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Nice recovery. We know that you'll drop down to about 7th in the second race. And hopefully you can get through the rest of the season penalty-free. 4 rounds to go. Go well.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
And on that note, there's a penalty being issued post-race by Race Control, an SP penalty at that, for Starkey for not holding brakes with, well, that's not Matthew O'Grady, it's Brian Bullock, actually, on lap 9. You're welcome. I'd like to keep everybody on their toes. Speaking of keeping everybody on their toes, John Merritt managed to do that tonight nicely. Very well done, ladies and gentlemen. Now, just before I get to John, got a fair bit going on here in the commentary box tonight, because I've managed to be doing some wheeling and dealing regarding the Sydney 300 radio and other things whilst we're before we got on air, and obviously I'm getting replies whilst we're on air, so if I seem a little bit distracted, that's all that's going on. However, in saying that, we've also got a very tight turnaround because of the overtime we did tonight on track with these guys. The Porsches are only 12 minutes away from being on the grid, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll make this nice and quick with Hot Lap Merritt. Mate, well done to you. Congratulations. I am surprised, but I'm not surprised, because at the end of the day, this is your wheelhouse. This is where you ply your trade and do your best work. We've said that on so many occasions, but on a racetrack with such a slipstream advantage for those that are following, for you to be able to pull off the hat-trick, the clean sweep, hats off to you, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Probably didn't expect it at that track. The draft was pretty royal, that's for sure. But made for some great racing too.
Indeed it did. The racing around here was magnificent. I mean, quality over quantity tonight, John. We didn't have a huge grid, but we didn't need one, because for much of the race, if you weren't leading, you had your eyes on your rear view mirror, and even when you had cars in front of you, you had your eyes on your rear view mirror. You wouldn't have known where to look tonight, because Hendo kept you on us. Tony Baker even wanted to fly the flag for Pulse, and it seemed there at one point as though you were happy to let him do so, because you weren't worried about him in the championship fight, and he's a teammate. You're happy to work with him. Obviously, you're always contending with Lavis, you're always contending with Chapman, and even Starkey threw his hat into the ring tonight.
Yeah, just that draft created some great racing, and no point having a fight, you know, really until you get into the last lap. So yeah, no, it was some great racing for all the guys you mentioned, and yeah, Tone was certainly doing really well, and I probably was lucky. I think race 2, Sam might have been off the end of the back straight there. He sort of cleared me, and I thought that was the end of that. But yeah, no, it was a good night all round.
Indeed. For you, it extends the championship lead, mate. Another one is within reach.
Yeah, hoping, you know, assuming we can make it every week, and I'm sure they'll be miss rounds. Sorry for my vocabulary here. I'm just trying to qualify the Porsche.
No, you and I are distracted on both fronts here. You've got the Porsche to focus on, and I'll get your thoughts on that in a sec. And of course, I'm doing the debrief with phone, computer, and trying to also articulate at the same time. We are men. We don't what do you call it?
Multitask.
Don't multitask all that very well. No, and still further evidence to suggest that at this point in time.
We're proving the narrative wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just answer me this before I let you go with the Porsche, and then we'll get you to come back and have a chat to us after the Porsche, if you don't mind. Chapo has put the list of tracks up there for next week. So, Chapo, just so that we're clear, the configurations of Daytona and Le Mans, would it be Circuit de la Sarthe, as well as the road course at the famed Daytona International Speedway, or would it be the Oval?
Well, the idea is the road course, because it's the endurance tracks, but do you think I should add the Oval to the options there?
Why not?
Well,
Go restrictor plate Formula V racing. I'm all for it.
Make it lively.
Wouldn't that be spicy?
That would be spicy. That would be quite something. Actually, well, you want to see what 28 wide as we were talking about over comms? That's probably a place to do it.
I tried to get the pack excited on Chappy.
Yeah, I like it.
Hey, Hot Lap, last one before I let you go. I mean, obviously, hat-trick is, rare in Formula V, and that's all good and well, mate. When we look at next week, because it's driver's choice, if you had your choice of those venues that we've mentioned, which track, which configuration would you go?
Well, I think the Oval tends to spice it up a bit, to be honest, but if I had a choice, let's go back to Bathurst.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
Yeehaw.
Chapo has now got the can of worms open everywhere, because we're throwing tracks that weren't on the list at him for next Thursday night. Hey, Chapo, good luck coming up with a winning formula for next week.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. And a reminder to everyone as well, get your entries in for the Endurance Championship, starting up at the end of next week.
Sunday week.
It's gonna be great. We've already got a bunch of entries and some really serious serious teams involved. Daniel's going to be broadcasting all the races. You, Zach, as well as me, and Liam will be on broadcast as well. So it should be a really good event. So get involved.
I have been asked to go to the football next Sunday, but I believe I'm going to be here with you, blokes, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that because Banksy's not in the building next week. We'll get back to that a little bit later on. We'll sort something out. I've got a mate that's got members seats for the Dolphins, so therefore he's got a spare ticket. I'd be a fool to say no to that, but we'll see what we can come up with. Hey, let's grab a quick break. We do it on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club Monday and Thursday nights with thanks to the following, who without whom we just simply would not be here. It's as plain as day as that. Waste Options, Spreyton Cider, Player One Sim Gear, Leipzig Racing, M-Wave Australia and Flash Graphics. And we're off to Oran Park in just a few moments' time. And Hot Lap, what's the turn-up like, please? And what are your thoughts on it too? Because Oran Park normally brings a few more bums on seats, but it is sprint racing and it's a circuit that's not easy for overtaking.
There's in excess of 20. I can't see further down than that, and mate, ripping track. Wish it was still there in real life. So we'll create some good racing, I'm sure.
Indeed, we're looking forward to it. We need to take a break. We need to catch our breath. Leg one of the double is done. Main course leads into dessert. Yep, 5 offerings on the menu tonight for you, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 3 of them out of the way. Let's come back with a double dose of dessert, Porsche style, at Oran Park for a sprint round on the other side of this short break. Hope you're enjoying Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club returns to familiar territory on the back of a scintillating triple treat from Virginia for the Spreyton side of Formula V. We now go to an old favourite, to Oran Park Raceway, Narell in southwest Sydney, and round 6 of Spreyton side of Porsche Cup. There's the grid, 2 o'clock server time, Feb 29, 2024, 21 degrees the ambient, 45 on track. And Corey Lazarus has picked Matty Dench for pole. Ashley, Jonathan Hooper, second row. Paul Wilson, Dylan Shepherd, third row. Dane Snadden, Adam Lavers, fourth row. Blake Fitzpatrick, John Merritt, fifth row. Sixth row, Chook Fung Wong, Joe Baldwin. Seventh row, David Baz, Ryan Howe. Eighth row, David Christensen and also Liam Isles. Row 9, Liam Banks and Philip Bartlett. Good to see Banksy on the grid. And Christian Koch and Jordan Ferguson make up the top 20. Beyond that, Adam Tyson, Sam Stride make up the field. Still a couple of cars to join us. The championship at the moment pits Matty Dench on top, 322 to Sebastian Spicer's 248. Teo Sorono's 216, Dane Snadden's 210 and Paul Wilson's 196. The open split is Adam Lavis 305, Chook Fung Wong 282, Blake Fitz 219, Christian Koch 185 and Jonathan Hooper 172. So there you go. That's the scene set from southwest Sydney, the virtual Oran Park. How depressing it is that it doesn't live on in the real world. We're very excited about everything that's coming to iRacing, but we're always excited to come back here and play on an old favourite that has a tremendous history in the real world, and the legacy of it lives on in the virtual. Ready to fire. Race 4 of the 5 program for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Dessert for Spreyton side of Thursday Night Motorsport is underway. The first of 2 races in round 6 of the Porsche Cup. Corey Lazarus gets the jump on Matty Dench. To the first corner they go. Can everybody scramble through here cleanly? We'll wait and see. No, they can't. Trouble on the run to 1. Chook Fung Wong caught up in it. Blake Fitzpatrick, Joe Baldwin pointing the wrong way. They get back on the racetrack, but they're right at the back of the field. Whoa, more carnage. More door to door. And gone. There's cars going everywhere. Good luck race control tonight. Jared Knight saying that it would have been a home race if he could have made the grid, but it sounds like he's having a far better time of it, and after what he's seeing here, probably is happy not to be in the rig tonight. In the opening stages, that has really spread the field out. Something chronic. Up over the rise and down. John Merritt's at 7th at the moment, already up 3 spots. Big Sam down the inside. Merritt, hold it. Yes, down the inside of Ashley and got it done. Well done, John Merritt, cleanly. He'll have the inside running on the run into turn 1 and get him on the brakes on the run to 2. Lazarus, Dench, Shepherd, Hooper, Wilson, Merritt and Lear. Then Laver, Snadden and Stride. Lazarus holds Dench at bay. It's going to be a big send required by Matty Dench rather to get by Corey Lazarus here. I'm reading Nighty's comment on the right-hand side of the screen. I told you we can't multitask, we're hopeless. And it is all happening in the early stages. Liam Isles is on pit road. 21 of the 22 that started still on the racetrack. Oh dear, stress budget racing still giving it to Todd Hayne after last week. And rightly so. Jump start of the year. Dylan Shepherd, 3rd place at the moment. Holding his own against Jonathan Hooper and also Paul Wilson, John Merritt and Ashley behind that. He's trying to go with the boys at the front. Lazarus, Dench. No holds barred there. Lazarus leads us across the line. Lap 3. It's a 16-minute race, which should equate to about 14 laps around here if I'm doing my numbers right, maybe 15. A minute and 6. Around here, 15 by 6 is 90 seconds, 15 and a half. It's 15. Yep, I was right. Thank you. It is a 15-lapper. 27 minutes for the second race, of course. There will be an invert of the top 10 for that. There will be splash and dash requirements. It mixes the field up just nicely with the lopsided balance of open split competitors compared to pro split. or elite split as it is here. And there's a couple of reds there as well that haven't yet been assigned to a split. Ashley and Ryan Howe. But Lazarus leads Dench and Shepherd to the main straight again.
Took from Wong sideways as they come around that final corner. That's going to allow Joe Baldwin to go up there into P16, and you can see this small pack forming from P12 down. That's quite significant. P12 all the way down to P19. That is 7 cars last time, if I've done my math correctly. Whereas the cars at the front have all expanded outwards. Corey Lazarus doing a great job holding out Matthew Dench and Dylan Shepherd at the front. It looks like, oh, someone's gone off. That looks like Blake Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Joe Baldwin and Jordan Ferguson go side by side. Took from one, looks to try and get an inside line here. Gives a little bit of a tap. You can see the damage on the back of his car. He was involved in that early incident there.
Hold
so there
your
is
breath.
exactly
3 wide.
stuff happening everywhere.
Oran Park's not wide enough a racetrack for that sort of garbage. And as a result of that, poor old Jordan Ferguson's lost out in that one. Joe Baldwin 15th. David Christensen comes through. Ferguson boxed out in 17th. And Lazarus leads us on lap 5. What have you enjoyed most about the night so far, Daniel Correa? We haven't heard much from you. I've somewhat taken ownership of the commentary box tonight.
No, that's fine.
It's been a really engaging, intriguing night of racing. Unfortunately, far too much garbage in the early stages for the sake of it with the Porsches, but it sets the standard for what to expect in race 2, which will be more of the same, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to prove your point further, you and John, I'm pushing buttons. It's hard to multitask, so we're all struggling with it. So I'm more than happy for you to talk while I focus on the camera angles and the battles. But yeah, look, we saw a little bit of carnage in the Formula Vs, but overall it was fantastic, especially that last race. It was very, very close towards the end. As Corey Lazarus sets the fastest out there, 105.4. But with the Porsches, we kind of knew that we were going to get what we got because it's Oran Park. And as you know, if you're an Aussie racing fan, you'll know what Oran Park does. You know the type of track that Oran Park was. I say was because, unfortunately, property developers have too much power these days. But in any case, I digress. So, yes, we know what Oran Park can deliver, and we know that Porsche is, just because of the nature of the class of racing, that we always get pretty chaotic races. So you mix those two together, and you get some people who are a little bit overzealous going into some of these corners, and you get what you get at the start of this race. Now, as they expand, my hope is that they carry on the lessons that they've learned here in the first race, and when we get to the second race, they're a little bit more patient. But having said that, let's be honest, we like chaos sometimes.
Absolutely we do, particularly here on a Thursday night. We love it. So Lazarus leads Dench, Shepherd being the third horse in that race at the moment, has the roster delivered the ground to them. Cooper, Leah, Merritt, then Wilson, Snadden, Lavis, and Howe, the top 10. It's all happening. We're riding on board at the moment. With Dane Snadden, who was also caught up in some drama last week. I tell you what, it was an action-packed round last week when we were at Brands Hatch. There's no doubt about that.
Indeed.
For so many reasons. I mean, obviously, Todd Haynes' antics have been remembered by all and sundry, as evidenced by the comments. But there was drama for a few on that occasion. It was good to watch.
Yeah, we're obviously missing him this time by, as well as Teo Serena. And so some of those front runners there. But the two stars of last week, which were Corey Lazarus and Matthew Dench, are very much well here. And Corey Lazarus is doing a fantastic job at the front of this pack. Lap 8 of 15. And we heard last week that Matthew Dench was slightly worried when it came to that fuel strategy. But unfortunately for Corey, he did end up picking up a pit lane speed infringement, which is unfortunate, and it was on the exit too, of all places. But obviously he's learned from that, and we shouldn't have the same issue with Oran Park. The lines are much more distinct at Oran Park than they are at Brands Hatch. So as we wind down this race 1, where of course fuel is not an issue, we'll see how this goes. But when fuel does become an issue, and we did hear from Corey last week that he has been practicing his fuel strategies and his fuel saving, and we saw it in effect. And so I'm very curious to see how this one ends up, because Matthew Dench is not going to take anything lying down. So be prepared for an absolute knockout battle at the front of this pack.
So half race distance has come and gone, both in time and laps. And Dench just seems content at the moment, doesn't he, to sit in behind Corey Lazarus at the moment. Whoa, Ryan Howe's copped a hefty penalty. 15 seconds for the contact on Liam Banks earlier in the piece. So that's going to drop Power down the order. He's currently sitting 10th. If he stays where he is and manages the buffer to Jordan Ferguson, he'll drop down to about 16th at this point, or 15th. Yeah, that's a fair point. Have a look at the argy-bargy here just quietly. Whoa, was the door about to be opened for John Merritt? No. So, a comment in there about Shepherd. Up and under. Hooper went too wide. Merritt jams it down the inside. Lear had already capitalised on it. Lear goes to 4th. Merritt to 5th. Hooper back to 6th. So interesting that Dylan Shepherd only did his first laps around Oran Park as the server opened tonight. So, I mean, we talk all the time about some of these blokes that can come in and wing it. Not everyone's made out for that caper. Not everyone can do that, but there are some versatile performers in our club that can just show up on the night, hit their markers, hit the ground running, and set everything in motion. Shepherd is proving that he is definitely one of those tonight, riding his luck right in behind Matty Dench and Corey Lazarus. And these three, I mean, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, aren't you, Daniel? In the sense that they could get the elbows out, they could engage in battle, but then they risk, obviously, coming together, damage, dropping position, not finishing the race, all that sort of stuff. They could just as easily, given the buffer they've got to the rest of the pack, which is now 9 seconds, tuck in behind, just follow each other to the line, pocket the points, and then worry about getting the elbows out and dirty when they've got to work hard for their track position with the invert situation when they'll be 10th, 9th and 8th on the grid respectively in running order at the moment. How would you play it if it was you?
Well, I definitely wouldn't be at the front, that's for sure. But there are a couple of ways to race a motor car, and some people will jump in a motor car and their entire thought process is go the fastest you can every single lap and you'll be first, which sometimes works. But there are some other racers who think about it in a broader aspect, and these three that you're seeing, for at least from what I've seen, tend to be in that category, which is, why would I fight and put more stress on the tyres and put more stress on myself and increase the risk of a mistake when I know that I've got the speed, so I can let the guys in front do all the work, and I'll just sit there, and then when there's an opportune moment, I'll pounce. And that's what's happening. So the issue that Corey Lazarus has right now is not only is he leading a race, it's Dylan Shepherd
inside, making a mockery of everything we've been talking about. Oh, look at that. Dylan Shepherd to the inside. Dylan Shepherd to second. And Corey Lazarus with a little buffer on the two of them now. And all of a sudden, Dench has got his work cut out for him. Have a look at this. Qualified second, and runs third at the moment, the incumbent, the championship leader, the 8-time champion. But he's got a real stiff fight on his hands tonight in the form of Lazarus and now Shepherd as well. What a move that was. From 6th on the grid to 2nd for Dylan Shepherd. Great work to jam it down the inside. One of only 2 real, probably genuine, legitimate overtaking opportunities on the circuit, and made it stick. And that's the thing about Oran Park. if you're going to commit if you're going to go for an overtaking opportunity, you've got to make it stick. You've got to commit to it, and he did, and it paid off.
And I'll just build on top of that, Zach, as well. So as I was saying before, right? Corey Lazarus leading the front of the pack has two jobs here. One, he has to make sure that he hits all his markers and he maintains his speed. And two, he's got to keep in the back of his mind that there are people that are trying to pass him, so he's got to judge and limit those opportunities. Now, Matthew Dench was in the middle of this, so Matthew Dench is thinking, I've got to get past Lazarus. What's happened is he's had a slight, ever so slight slip, and he left that inside door open. And Shepherd looked at that gap and he thought, you know what? I can fit my car in there, and I think I've got the speed. Not only did he push it in there, but he managed to maintain the speed out of the corner, and now he's in P2. So, I'm not sure if the teamwork's coming into it or not, but Dylan Shepherd can now play that wall for Corey Lazarus, because we know that Corey Lazarus has more points in the championship, so that's what's at stake. So Dylan can just back up Matthew Dench if he wants to and give Corey absolute gap at the front. I'm not sure if that's what's at play. In any case, as you said, Zach, Matthew Dench's work is clearly cut out for him, but we know what he's like, don't we? So he'll turn the wick up. He's got 2 laps to do it. Watch this. Ryan Preston in the chat as well. Dench breaks deep into one, so they better be careful. That's exactly right. I reckon Dench knows he's studying them. Where are they braking early? Where do I brake later? Where am I faster in the corners? That is the skill level of a top driver, and he is assessing this at large. But the problem is going to be that middle OPR carb. That is Dylan Shepherd, because Dylan can now play the effective, as we see Chuk Fung Wong just at the back there. He's on an adventure. So Lazarus knows he's got a little bit of breathing room, because I don't think Dylan Shepherd's going to make the move on him. I think that's well and secured. So with only a lap and a bit to go, Matt not only has to pass that second car, but then he'll have to try and fight for the win. So as it stands right now, if the pace stays as it is, Dylan's done an incredible move there, and probably cemented P1 for Corey Lazarus. Whether or not he can hold on to P2, time will tell.
Corey Lazarus is 1 lap away from a race victory.
Oh, and here come the back markers.
And he was cruelly taken out of contention by his own misstep last week in pit lane on the pit speed limiter. Tonight, redemption could well be very, very sweet for Corey Lazarus. Shepherd, Dench, then a huge gap back to Lear, Hooper, Snadden, Wilson, Lavis, Howe and Stride. And your point about lap traffic, genuine. Butler's already been gobbled up. Tice is the next target. He's setting up over the bridge at the moment. I don't think they'll catch him now. Anyone that spins, however, is in trouble. John Merritt in pit lane. That's something I didn't see coming. He's been in pit lane for a minute 20, and Chuk Fung Wong's been in there for a minute 15. So whatever happened to those two, we'll wait and see. And Liam Miles has already parked up and departed for the night. Lazarus, Shepherd, Dench, Lear, Hooper, Snadden, Wilson, Howe, Lavis and Stride. That's how they'll come to the line, 1, 2 and 3. Dench's been upped by 2 of them. It's rare that we see him finishing off that top step of the podium. Well done, Corey Lazarus. Drove a beautiful race, kept Dench at bay. Well done, Dylan Shepherd. Forceful with his move on the inside to dethrone the champ and displace him out of second spot. And those 2 guys will go to the 5th row of the grid for the start of the next race. And they'll have all the work to do, but they get maximum points in the sprint race to kick us off on a Thursday night. Well done. Corey Lazarus gets an overdue win, and Dylan Shepherd gets just reward for a solid hit out. 6th to 3rd in the early stages, and then just chipped away to follow the leader until such time that you had to pull the trigger. I mean, he was never going to catch Corey Lazarus, or he was never going to actively engage in battle, I wouldn't have thought, with his teammate. But Dench, it was important to get by him, and he did that in a very aggressive manner, but a very clean manner, which is well worth applauding as well. As far as the elite split was concerned, it was Lazarus, Shepherd and Dench first, second and third, Lear fourth. As far as the open split was concerned, Hooper from Labour, Stride, Baldwin, Christensen and Banks. And in the end, we got, what did we get? 20 of the 22 cars home, I think it was in the end. If we can just go, can we go over the page? Is there we go. Oh, Chuk Fung Wong was only 2 laps down, so 21 home in all of that. Phil Butler a lap down on the circuit. Bad luck for John Merritt, and also I'm not sure what happened to Chuk Fung Wong there either. The warm-up is underway. Cars will be on the grid again very shortly. In the meantime, let's just have a look at what's coming up. We wouldn't be able to do this without Waste Options, Spreyton Cider, Player One, Sim Gear, Lovezy Racing, M-Wave Australia and Flash Graphics. Remember all of that. Sunday week, the Enduro season starts, of course, and that'll be, I think it's a 4-hour race around Watkins Glen. And don't forget as well, gsrcmerch.myshopify.com for all your GSRC paraphernalia. Get amongst that. And as far as our on-air commitments are concerned, we're back with you on Monday night, ladies and gentlemen. Barber Motorsport Park for the supercars and Magello for GT3, and that I am excited about. I think we're all excited though, Daniel, seeing the first teaser from iRacing, raindrops on the racetrack.
Oh, Zach, yes. So I know that everybody's excited for this, and if you're not excited, you don't have a pulse.
Exactly.
So rain has been possibly the most requested feature for the iRacing platform
in its history
pretty much since inception. And the thing is that iRacing do things the iRacing way, which is that they are done correctly and as in-depth as possible. And so they weren't gonna, to excuse phrase, half rear the job, right? They were going to do it properly. And from what I've seen in some of the shots and whatnot, it looks incredible, and it's so very close. I cannot wait to see its debut in the GSRC, and hopefully, from a broadcast perspective, it looks absolutely incredible.
There's the grid for race 2. Cannot wait to see it hit our servers in the weeks and months ahead. Sam Stride and Adam Lavis the front row, Ryan Howe and Paul Wilson the second, Dane Snadden and Jonathan Hooper the third, Ashley and Matt Dench the fourth, Dylan Shepherd, Corey Lazarus the fifth. Joe Baldwin, David Baz from the sixth row, David Christensen and Liam Banks the seventh, Jordan Ferguson, Blake Fitzpatrick the eighth, Tristan Kosh, Adam Tice the ninth, 10th row, Philip Butler and John Merritt and Chuk Fung Wong from the rear. Let's wait and see if John Merritt can work his way through the field. Let's wait and see if Matty Dench can keep Corey Lazarus and Dylan Shepherd at bay. Let's wait and see what they can do in a difficult invert situation here, and how the open split guys can use this next 27 minutes to their advantage.
Oh, that's a bad start for the OPR.
It was a shocker of a start for Corey Lazarus. He bogged it down and got swamped. Lazarus has dropped 8 positions on the run down to turn 1. It's a clean start so far, but it's far from good for Corey Lazarus. Down 8 spots already, and now the gloves are off. Let's wait and see. Now, the other thing that we will keep an eye on here is whether the fuel save option and tactics are in play here as well. Keep an eye on that over the course of 27 minutes. 24 laps here. Is it doable? Is it possible to go through this without transiting the lane? I know it's been a big talking point in Porsche circles. I know that it was a talking point last week. Oh, Baldwin's gone! Baldwin's gone! Truck is off the road and in the grass, and not for the first time tonight. Unbelievable. Unlucky for Joe. Let's have a look.
Oh, that was all his own. He just lost that rear. Unfortunate. But have a look at John Merritt. Had a very poor race 1, but already up 9 positions, so he's wasting no time at all.
Not at all.
Dylan Shepherd did great too, up into P5, so 4 positions gain for him, whereas Matthew Dench is currently held up behind Ian Snap.
Could be tactical from Denchi as well. Remember, he might be able to fuel save. Oh, no. Gloves are off, elbows out. Gets by Snadden. Down on the inside. He knows that if he's going to go with Shepherd, he needs to strike while the iron tight, and he does so down the inside of both Snadden and Wilson now. And Liz capitalised on that as well, got by Wilson too. So all the moves are coming at once. Now Dench is out after Dylan Shepherd. He'll be right there within a couple of laps. Shepherd's next target is Lavis, then Howe and Stride. Stride 107.208, 106.7 for Ryan Howe. Remember, purple sector laps will be a talking point at the end of this race as well, but traffic's going to be a big component of it too. All happening on a Thursday night on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Great to have you along for the ride. Well done, Sam Stride, Ryan Howe, Adam Lavis, Dylan Shepherd and Matty Dench, the top 5 at the moment. And well done everybody else as well. I mean, one isolated incident, it was self-inflicted from Joe. Everything else unexpectedly clean in the opening stages here. We're only on lap 3. I won't speak too soon, but so far so good.
Yep, it's much better than that first race. And just to touch on your point before, where you were saying, Matthew Dench won't be focusing on the fuel save, but then he made that overtake. The fuel saving strategy works, but the thing you got to remember is you have to do it behind a car that is at the same pace as you. So if you do a fuel saving strategy, but you get held up on the laps as Matthew Dench goes up on the inside, and I think Lavis wanted no part of that fight.
Yeah, Lavis wasn't forcing the issue there. He knows where his race is at the moment. He knows it's with Sam Stride. 105.830 for Matt Dench, the fastest lap of the race that time around. Well done.
The other thing I'll mention too, and this will come out maybe a little bit hot take, but forgive me. Last season, Dylan Shepherd did not have a great run of it, did he? He found himself in a lot of incidents, and which unfortunately cost him some points to positions. But this time by, I gotta say, this is a change of pace. He made his aggressive move, but he made it stick. No errors, no bumps. So this is awesome to watch. And we thought that Corey Lazarus would be the one fighting at the front, but unfortunately for him, he had the opposite problem of Todd Hayne. He went a little bit too further past when the lights were showing. So he's currently down in P11 now. There's plenty of time for him to make this back. There's still 20 laps to go as we see Ryan just cross the line there. Dylan Shepherd in P2, very closing in. He might shoot down on the inside. Maybe not. No, he'll hold it.
It's hugely exciting, isn't it?
Never mind.
Here we go. Down the inside. Can he get it done?
Oh, no!
Contact and gone! Ryan Howe's been taken out of it.
No.
Dylan Shepherd is now not only under huge pressure from Matt Dench, under the assault of the number 1, but he could have a case to answer with race control as well. Let's have a look at a replay, if you can, of this incident at turn 1 and 2. Have a look at it. We've got the perfect angle for it down the inside. There's the touch. There's the touch. We might be able to go on board and have another look at that as well, just to get a better look at the contact. But yes, it looked definitive from that angle. Bump. Gone. And that's the trouble with Oran Park. Limited overtaking opportunities. Very narrow racetrack. Dench punches out a 105.498, fastest lap of the race. And with that, the risk factor goes up. The margin for error is huge. And right there and now, we've seen one of the pro split competitors, one of the elite split competitors, get by one of the open split athletes, but not without incident. Race control will have a look at it. There's already some conjecture and some conversation about it on socials, as you can see there. I don't know. Let's have a look at updated track and weather conditions if we can, please, Daniel Correa, sir. Just to remind everybody that we've gone forward to 5:15 Eastern Daylight Time in the afternoon. Currently, the ambient is 21 degrees. The track is 29. So things have cooled down, but they've heated up at the same time. Dench is right there on Shepherd. Corey Lazarus is out of this fight at the moment, boxed in down in 7th after botching the start. And it just went nowhere for him. It was a 0 type moment, but he's on the comeback trail right now. Lap 7 of 24. We're past 25% race distance. Still a long way to go here. And then a post-race show to follow that as well. And then I might think about getting some shut-eye before getting up. See, this was stupid me's idea this week, Daniel Correa-Sara. I thought I'm going to go do a deep dive into Sydney 300 paperwork and information and statistics and everything else, and I've done 15 or 16 pages on it. It's ridiculous, but and that's just me trying to be better prepared for it this year than I was last year and finding new ways to reinvent the wheel in the way we promote the race. Keep an eye out on the motor racing. Oh, here we go. Dane Snadden forcing his way through. Excuse me, make way for me or you will make way by way of me making way for you. Was basically the message from Snadden to his teammates or his fellow competitors there behind him, Paul Wilson and Blake Fitzpatrick. It was forceful. I'm seeing my way through, and if you don't make way for me, you will be shafted. So, well done, Dane Snadden. But yes, as a result of that, the sleep has been limited this week, and stupid me forgot, oh, hang on, the test match in New Zealand's going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time this morning. And I wanted to get up and watch that. So it's been a very long day on the lounge and a very long day behind my computer. And if it's starting to sound like I'm hitting the brick wall, then you'd be right. 8 of 24, third race distance here. Shepherd leads. Dench with the fastest lap of the race is second. Logjam further down the line. Snadden, Wilson, Fitzpatrick, Banks, Ferguson, Christensen, and Howe. How damaging was that incident for Ryan Howe? In 14th place. Still with a red box next to his name as well. Whether he's an open split or an elite split competitor is yet to be determined by Adam Lavis. Dench punches out a 105.318, so he's punching out 5.3s for fun at the moment. And back to the main straight we go. Biggest mover of this race thus far, John Merritt, if you don't mind, up 16 spots. Up from 20th to 4th. How the bloody hell has he pulled that off? From being 20th to 4th on this racetrack in 8 laps. That's 2 cars a lap he's overtaken. It's ridiculous.
Almost Senna-esque in the rain. Overtaking that many cars that long. But yeah, John Merritt, whatever it was that happened. And I just saw some severe smoke. Look at that. There's smoke pouring from the top. So we're, of course, on the top level of the racetrack now, going over the Yokohama Bridge. That's someone down there. It looks like Dane Snadden's gone off. Had a big shunt. It's dropped him back down to, what's that, 14th place now. But, yeah, John Merritt obviously had a very rough first race, but he's making it count on this one. And Ashley Lear in the unclassified class at the moment, he'll be looking back and being like, oh, this is what I have to contend with. Look at him, he's right there too. Corey Lazarus with a 105.2. He is wasting no time at all as Merritt goes down the inside. And that, my friend, oh, and he gets a sideways toe and catches it. That's how you do it. You get the move done and you show off for the people watching.
Uh-oh, off goes Blake Fitzpatrick at turn 1. It's all happening out here at Oran Park Raceway, Narellan, Southwest Sydney. Shepherd, Dench, Merritt, Lear, Lazarus, Stride, Lavis, Banks and Howe, the top 10 at the moment. Back to Ashley we go, chasing John Merritt, who's got up to 3rd. Next target's 5 seconds down the road. That's M. Dench. I think if you're John Hotlap Merritt at the moment, 3rd's your target and you're pretty happy with it to be already there after 10 laps.
Yeah, pretty much. And we know that John's theory... Ooh.
Ryan Howe's ended up down the road again, but he hasn't lost any positions this time around. He stays 9th. continue on, Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah, it looks like, no, it's all right. Looks like Blake Fitzpatrick went for an adventure there, so he's now dropped down to P15. Yeah, we know what John thinks about the whole fuel-saving strategy too. So right now, he is pretty much thinking, all right, I'm going to go play it out as far as I can, and then I'll come into pit, and we'll see where we resolve. So yeah, third is probably going to be the best for him. For him to be able to do any more than that would mean that he'd have to go into fuel-saving mode, and I just don't see him doing that. Having said that, for Corey Lazarus, he's also in a tough position because he doesn't have he's not afforded the ability to do that. He has to really punch it and try and get up there. And so if he tried to do fuel saving now, he'd probably lose out time just on pit lane transit to his teammate in P1 and Dench in P2. And I have to say, a really good job there from Dylan Shepherd holding on to the lead. But another part of me is thinking, I wonder if Matthew Dench just holding there and saving fuel. But we know that Shepherd has the speed over Dench. We saw it in the first race. So who knows? I'm not too sure. In any case, we'll see if Dylan Shepherd's fuel saving is anywhere near as good as M. Dench or Corey Lazarus, or whether or not M. Dench will have easy pickings once that window opens.
So Lear sitting there in 4th place. We go back to Lavis in 7th. And he's getting some good airtime tonight, Adam Lavis. He was right at the forefront of everything happening in Formula V and didn't go tits up as he has done on so many other occasions. And now he's sitting there very nicely. 7th place. 2nd as far as the open split is concerned. Off goes Jordan Ferguson around the other side of the racetrack. So that's unfortunate for Ferguson. On that subject, those that have already stopped, Tristan Koch is a lap down. David Christensen, Jordan Ferguson have already stopped. So too Blake Fitzpatrick, Paul Wilson, David Baz, and Chuk Fung Wong has come to pit lane. Off goes Liam Banks as well. Banks is off the road again. David Baz, Ryan Howe have also stopped. So the field is starting to cleanse itself. Lap 8 seemed to be the threshold. That was the earliest anyone was willing to jump. And if 8 is the earliest you can go, 16 will be the latest we see most of these blokes in. But there'll be people like Denchi or Lazarus that try and get 17 or 18 out of the run. If everyone else is getting 16, they usually go 1 or 2 longer. And this is such a shorter circuit too than Virginia, where we started with Formula V too. So saving fuel is one thing, but how many more laps you can go is often dictated by how short the racetrack is, or how long the racetrack is. But keep an eye out on that. 13 minutes to go, 12 laps to go. Platforms the Gentleman Sim Racing Club Thursday Night Motorsport, thanks to Spreyton Ciders, Pure Tasmanian. I went into the bottle shop the other night, not to buy Spreyton cider, but just to have a general gaze of what was going on. And a particular product that I was looking for, I asked the gentleman at the counter, I said, I can't see this bloody thing. Don't know the price of it, would like to know, then I can make my mind up whether I buy it or not. And neither one of the donkeys could tell me. Seemed surprised that I was looking for it, didn't really know what to say, didn't think they had any available in stock. Oh, more trouble. More trouble. Lazarus got through to 5th place now. With back markers starting to become an ever-increasing part of the show. And no sooner did I walk out of the store, because it was 8 o'clock local time, it was closing. I walked into Woolies, thought, hang on, I'm going to have a look on the app just to see what the hell's going on. Found the price, found the product, found it was available in their store. Do better, Dan Murphy Shimanto. Liam Banks off the road again. And Banksy's on the tow rope. Oh, Banksy's had a big one. Banksy's on the tow rope. To turn 1 we go. And...
Oh, he got faked out by the car. He got faked out by the car.
It's not a big one per se. It's just frustrating for Banksy.
Oh, Lazarus on the inside. Come on.
Lazarus.
Got underneath the bridge.
Got him.
Oh, Ashley's going to fight him, though.
Yeah.
Ashley's going to hold him onto the inside.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see.
But,
oh, look at this.
Oh, the elbows are out. Door handle to door handle. You beauty.
I have a feeling.
Lazarus outside. I have a feeling they might want to go 2x2 across the bridge here. Lear puts a stop to that.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Lear's about to have a black square next to his name.
Well, for sure.
Based on the fighting that we're seeing. And if you're Corey Lazarus, you would be fuming.
Might have some time on the
because
mark as well.
this isn't where you want to be. You want to be at the front. You want to be there with Merritt and Dench. And Ashley Lear's going, hey, I'm a Porsche too. I want to race as well. And so it's great for us here at home, but if you're Corey Lazarus, you can see that potential victory just dwindling away. But I will say, Dylan Shepherd's doing a great job at the front. But the question will always be, how much fuel can he save in comparison to the man in P2?
Now, what's interesting on that note is we've reached lap 16. We've reached 16, and there are still 10 cars out there that are yet to stop. Everyone else has come in. That pit stop sequence and cycle is well and truly underway. Oh, good move, Lazarus down the inside. Finally pushes by Ashley. Well done.
Yeah, we'll be able to stretch the legs of that Porsche now, as he's got a 4.8 second gap to John Merritt there. John Merritt, unfortunately, racing himself at the moment. 4 seconds of a gap behind, 6 seconds to the car in front, which is the car on your screen right now.
Yep.
Matthew Dench in P2, so we can see a couple of more people coming into that pit lane there. And but for the front runners, they have decided to stay out, so we'll see just how many laps they can keep pushing.
Yep, Chook Fun Wong's off the road, so that's point number 1. And point number 2, he's on the tow road. Point number 3, Adam Tice came to pit lane that time by. So he was the only one to pull out of it on lap 15. Adam Tice up 3 spots in 15th place, a former up-and-comers champion, of course. So that means just the top 9 are yet to stop. Philip Butler up 10 spots, John Merritt up 17. Top 3 due to pit road, any tick of the clock you would imagine. Whoa. And Shea with the big sender, turn 9, couldn't get it done. Through the dog leg. Shepherd now knows he's got a fight on his hands here. And now defends for his life at turn 12. The gloves are finally off at Oran Park. Down the main straight. Denchi not yet able to find a way by. Having to work really hard for this one tonight. Shepherd, Dench, Merritt, Lazarus, Lear, the top 5, and Snadden is 6th. The field has somewhat sorted itself out. The open split guys are 7th through Jonathan Hooper, Joe Baldwin, then Philip Butler and Adam Lavis. That order will change somewhat in the next few moments with the top 9 once they come to pit lane and stop. Although we're reaching 75% race distance this time by the line, in every sense of the word. Off goes Philip Butler, drops down out of the top 10. Maverick, Adam Lavis and Sam Stride make their way by. Now what tactics are at play here? Will Denchi go for this again? Shepherd, being aware of his presence, I dare say will go for a tighter line to defend, and does so. 6 laps to go. Let's wait and see.
Oh, he's so cool.
Dench is in. Dench pulls the trigger. Comes to pit lane. Could he have cut that any finer in terms of getting off the gas or not hitting the wall?
He did scrape the wall slightly, but it's not going to be... Oh, it's Corey Lazarus. 105.042. That man is flying. So Matthew Dench decides to come in there. Lap 19 to 24. We've only got a handful of laps to go. Dylan Shepherd did a fantastic job defending on that last attack. There we go. He put... What was that time there? 4.9 on the pits...
That's ridiculous.
Stop.
The quickest one of the night thus far. No one's been sub 5 seconds. Ashley is on the ropes as well. He's on the jacks. He's out in 5.35. Jonathan Hooper's in. So too Jordan Ferguson. For Ferguson, it's his 2nd stop. It's all happening now.
Yeah, Dave Snow just letting him go by there because Matt Dench knows that he's got to try and get in a really, really good in-lap in order to try and minimise the amount of time lost. And Dench maybe thought with the aggressive defending, not so aggressive, but aggressive-ish defending there from Dylan Shepherd, that maybe it was better if he came in early. And I wonder if he's done the same. I wonder if he's done a short stop and then maybe trying to get ahead and then fuel save towards the end. I'm not sure if that's the safest bet, but we'll see what the kind of gap is when everything resolves. Dylan Shepherd, John Hotlap, Merritt, and Corey Lazarus are all in the pit lane, and as they're coming in, here comes Matthew Dench around the corner, and it is a safe bet to say that he's going to sail right past them as they go down to the bottom of the pit lane. We will see for confirmation.
Keep an eye on.
There we go.
That's out, but Dench has got him. Dench has got him. Oh, it's like reaching into your chest and plucking out your heart. Snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Ecstasy turns to agony for the opposition as yet again they've been given a masterclass by the benchmark on how to play the game. Oh,
Look at that.
jeez.
Dylan's pit stop was 6.7 seconds. John Merritt,
And that's all the
5.4. And Corey Lazarus, 5.2. So Corey Lazarus managed to fuel save somewhat, but nowhere near the same amount of time. And the other downside is, although the gap was shorter than normal when Dylan Shepherd came out of that pit lane, there's cold tyres. He's lost that temperature because he had to slow down and stop. And so Dench just has all the advantage now. Let's not count it out. There's still 4 laps to go in this race, and he is less than 2 seconds back. But the draft isn't as powerful in these cars as we see something like the Formula V. So, and look at that, M Dench, 104.761. So there is an immense wall in front of Dylan Shepherd right now. We'll see if he can climb it.
Indeed we will. Denchy doesn't need to Denchy with Shepherd having a 10-second penalty hanging over his head. Righto, that's news to us.
Yeah, I didn't see a deliberation on that.
10-second penalty.
Oh, that's Josh telling us, so obviously he would know. He'd have the in there, as we see.
Appreciate that.
One of the back markers coming in there.
We've got David Christensen still on pit road. We've got Denchy 3 laps from the checkered flag. He's just pounced out of 4.7, if you don't mind. 8.47. And we are 3 laps from home, and it'll be a third and a first for him. And Shepherd with 10 seconds hovering over his head might lose out to John Merritt.
There we go. There's a confirmation.
There it is. For the contact on Ryan Howe. Remember that was a touchy subject earlier in the piece? That's why.
That's a rough one. I'll be honest. It's a rough one, but race control will have more angles, and they'll they'll obviously analyse it a lot more than we did. We just watched basic penalty, so we'll go with their judgment. But it's a strong penalty, 10 seconds. It won't really amount to much considering his nearest competitor is 8.9 seconds down the road. So I'm sure Dylan Shepherd will be fine. Oh, actually, sorry, no, I have totally read that wrong. No, that's a problem because that means that. Oh, no, it'll only be the one position.
Shepherd will lose out to Merritt, and that'll be it. Yeah.
That'll only be the one position.
But it'll be enough with Lazarus also down in 5th for Dench to take round on us.
Yes, correct. Again, it was a poor start for Lazarus, and I feel for him. I really do. He did an incredible job to come back to where he started. 5 positions gained. Obviously, nothing to the 17 gained by John Merritt over the course of this race. But in any case,
the points are going to be incredibly tight. But for Lazarus, it's a pole, a win, and 5th. For Shepherd, it'll be a 3rd and a 2nd. For Dench, it'll be a 3rd and a 1st. And 3rd and 1st trumps 3rd and 2nd by the barest of margins. But we're 2 laps from home. Denchy's on his way to another one. Just extraordinary. Really well played. Yet again, the master of the art. The master of the craft. Doing what he does best. And this will also enable him to extend his championship lead. And he'll do so, well, knowing full well that Sebastian Spicer's not here tonight, nor is Teo Sorono. So, with those 2 missing in action, Dane Snadden's here. He's the nearest to Denchy's opponents. It's another dagger in the heart of anyone that was hoping to stop the run that this man is on, the dominance of Matt Dench. 1 second away, 1 minute away, 1 second away is the margin at the moment. Dench to Shepherd, 1 lap away from victory. Now is the number 1, the incumbent. What a performance.
I'll say this, though. Oh, I know what it is. I was right. Matt's not going full pace. Now, he knows he doesn't have a threat now because there's no way Dylan Shepherd closes that gap that fast unless Matthew Dench is backing off. And you can see in that last lap, 1:05.76. What did Dylan Shepherd do? 1:04.7. That is a 1 second difference. So Matthew Dench saw that race control had dealt that penalty, knew he could back off, and now he will be exactly. Yes, Shep just did a 4.6. So that's what I'm saying. Matt knew he could back off, because I wonder if that 4.9 on that pit stop is him doing Matt Dench things and going, ooh, maybe now I have to fuel save at the end. So he'll know he's safe. He'll know he'll be able to come around this corner and take it with no threat of running out. And another stellar job from him.
He'll miss out on that all-important purple sector by the barest of margins. He does his best number of the night, a 1:04.745. But Shepherd gets that fastest lap bonus point for a 1:04.647.
Oh,
well
and
done.
here comes Corey!
Merritt to third. Lear to fourth, and Lazarus fifth. Wow. Lavis will hedge out stride in the battle for the open split. Well done. Then we go back to Howe, Snadden and Baldwin. Now, Shepherd will lose out to John Merritt, but that's it. So he'll drop to third, Merritt to second, and that is one almighty recovery from 20th on the grid. Driver of the night to John Merritt, I reckon. I mean, not only did he get the hat-trick in Formula V, but he redeemed himself after... we never saw the incident. After running into trouble in race 1 in the Porsches, he drove through the field on a racetrack where it's arguably difficult to do so, and comes up with the most points, most positions gained, so therefore the bonus point for that and a podium finish. Second at that, and only to Dench. Not bad at all. Joe Baldwin standing on by to have a chat to us. We'll get to him in just a moment. I don't really know what else to say to that. You run out of adequate superlatives to describe Matt Dench's performances here. Challenged in race 1, absolutely, but played the game. Let the boys have at it there in the early stages. In the second race, just bided his time, waited for his moment. Shepherd gets a 10-second penalty for the incident with Ryan Howe, and Bob's your uncle. Dench wins by 10 seconds. To John Merritt. Doesn't get the fastest lap, but that matters very little when you've got the advantage that he's got in the championship at the moment. Trucker, it had to have got better than Formula V.
Oh, could it have gotten any worse? I had a shocker in the V's. I had pace, like I was fast, but just could not get a first or second lap down, and I won't say some of the racing's questionable only because I don't want to say that out loud, but yeah, just, I don't know, people don't like working together in the V's, which can be frustrating at times, but it is what it is. Yeah, we're out there to put on a show, so that's what we do.
Indeed. Now, on the subject, you had good pace in the V's, but unfortunately a little bit of bush bashing, and you repeated the dose of bush bashing here at Oran Park as well.
In both races too. Lap 1, I didn't realise we were 3 wide down through the 1-2 section there in race 1, and I probably didn't leave Chook enough room, and just it spat me out right. So it was playing catch up from there on again. And in number 2, I did it all on my own. Just was pretty excited with the start that I got to be up there behind Ash Lear and between him and Hopper, and not far behind Dench, and just over throttled, and it got the wheel up and away it went. I was pretty damn filthy after that one. Yeah, probably lucky we weren't live on air at the time.
Exactly.
Just filthy with myself, like it. Yeah. That was all on me, just trying to be a little bit too exuberant on cold tyres. So, and I know better, right? I should know better.
Yep,
so, but fighting back to 10th in the Porsche race with the calibre of guys in here, I'm pretty happy with that, though. Good
recovery in the second race, though, Joe.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was within 40 seconds of the leaders there by the end, and I ended up putting in a pretty good lap time. I think I did a 105.4, I think, and at the time the leaders were only doing flat 105s. Dylan Shepherd ended up doing a 4.6 after the pit stops. But yeah, to actually get the pace at the end shows maybe I should do a bit more practice than what I do. It'd probably help, right?
Practice does help, apparently. So they say.
Yes.
Aragon next week, and 40 minutes of it as well, mate. We know that you're a fan of Aragon. You don't mind the circuit.
I think I'm going to head off to the soup kitchen and do a little bit of helping them out for the night.
No, you're actually going to come in here and join me in Central Commentary.
I will. I will join you in Central Commentary. I'll use one of my drop races.
Absolutely. Although that being said, the question has to be asked: can you afford to use a drop round at this point, Joe?
Look, to be honest, I'm not actually chasing anything this season. I missed the first couple of races anyway, and I've had a couple of shocking rounds. Sonoma was a shocker, and I think I didn't race Road America either from memory, so I'm not, points-wise, I'm not even in it. I've got other things in real life. If I've got nothing on, which I haven't had for the last couple of weeks, I come and have a bit of fun with the boys, so...
Indeed. Yeah, Motorland Aragon has its fans, and Joe feels for Aragon what Nick Fodiatis feels for Sebring, just to give everybody context.
Believe you me, I can feel his pain now. I absolutely feel his pain.
Yeah, absolutely. So on that subject, there'll be a vote put out to the members this week where they want to race Formula V next week. There are some options that have been put on the table with regards to Sebring, Daytona, or Circuit de la Sarthe Le Mans. If you had your choice, what would you go?
Daytona, it's not even a question for me.
Yep. I have suggested Daytona Oval.
That actually is not a silly idea. I think that there'd be a bit of merit in it. Well, there'd be a lot of John merit in it.
There'd be a lot of John merit.
But I think I know there's a lot of other leagues that actually do the Vs and the Formula Fords and skips and stuff like that. They do those sort of cars on ovals, the low horsepower, high draft cars, and they always put on great racing. It's pack racing, and it's always fun. So it might be. Probably even put the oval in, because it's something that we haven't done, right? We haven't done that with the Vs or any of the Opens, so it might be good just to throw something different in there and a bit of a different skill set, try and draw out of the guys, and it could be an entertaining race.
It could be indeed. I'm all for it. Although I'd have to call it a little bit more, steady than what I normally do, because I'd blow an O-ring by the time race one finished. If I went the way I normally do with Formula V, I've got to pace myself like Mike Joy and the likes do when they call the Daytona 500. Hey, when we look at the rest of what's coming up on the platforms of the GSRC, mate, what was the reasoning for the choice of car on Saturday night for Mountain Men, please?
For the Audi coming this week?
Yes.
It's a monster. I try and do a good range of cars, like we've had the Formula Ford and the HPD, which is like an endurance type car, and the GR86 and the Pro Mazda, like a good range of cars for a range of skill sets up there. And I mean, if any of the guys have ever driven that Audi 90 GTO, it's one of those cars you absolutely have to grab it by the scruff of the neck, and you've got to drive the hell out of it. You can't just let the car do the work for you. You've got to grab hold of it, more so even than this Porsche. It's a real handful, but it makes for great fun racing. It's always, it's difficult. Even the good guys crash that car.
It's an awesome car, Joe, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Every time we've raced it probably 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years in the Mountain Men, and we generally always get a strong field with it. And it's always, by the end of the race, everyone's saying the same thing. Can we race that car again next week? It was so much fun. So I thought we'd throw it again this season. We haven't had it for a couple of seasons. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
All right, mate, very nicely done. I was going to say, just from your own personal standpoint, obviously your own shortcomings have already been documented, but with regards to racing around here, I might have expected a couple more bumps on seats tonight. In saying that, though, still plenty of action. 20-odd cars, narrow racetrack, invert top 10. It had all the right ingredients, didn't it?
It certainly did. And I think 22, like, I know you'd like to think, oh, yeah, it'd be great to get 40 cars here. I honestly think 40 cars here are a bit nightmare. Like, it's one of those, it's not the longest track, and it'll keep you busy for the whole race. If there's that many guys, it's hard to stretch your legs and get a rhythm going if you're in a pack of cars the whole race. But in saying that, it's that, you know, you don't have to race for the lead to have fun when you're racing. You know, you can be racing for 5th, 6th, 15th, doesn't matter. If you're enjoying what you do, you always come away with a smile.
Indeed, that is the case. All right, mate, very nicely done. And the club scene is only going to get busier in the next couple of weeks because we've got the Enduro starting next Sunday. And also, not long after that, Adam Lavis is going to be able to become a little bit more creative and inventive than he already is with iRacing releasing that little teaser of rainfall overnight.
And didn't it look great? For anybody who hasn't seen, I don't know if Dan has got the ability to show up the screenshot or the little video on the stream, or whether we get in trouble for showing it, but it looks amazing. All I'm going to say is RIP 1660 Ti's. People are going to want to upgrade very, very quickly. But in the background, there has been work, I believe, on multi-threading GPUs, CPUs, sorry.
CPUs,
so if that works out, there probably won't be too much of a hit. They'll be able to actually multi-thread, and it should improve the game right across the board. But we'll see next week. There'll probably be a couple of patches to get it right, but it's certainly something I'm looking forward to having a go at, let alone seeing.
Yeah, as are we, mate. Very exciting times ahead. Have a great weekend, Joe. Thanks for that.
Thank you, mate.
The head honcho, the kingpin of the GSRC at the moment, Joe Baldwin. Very nicely done. Hey, not too much time left here, guys, because personal request from Daniel Criasar to get out of here a little bit earlier. But more than that, if you turn your television on now, if you pay your subscription fee to Foxtel, Formula One is back. The opening round of the season, practice starts at the bottom of the hour, unless you're in central parts where it's the top of the hour. 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time, practice one for the Bahrain Grand Prix coming up live tonight. Looking forward to that. In the meantime, let's bring in John Merritt once again. We'll get to Dylan Shepherd and Matt Dent in just a moment. Hey, Hot Lap, well done on the treble in Formula V. We've already documented that. Well done on a solid run in qualifying. All things considered, considering we were distracting you in Formula V. And well done on the comeback. 18 spots when Shepherd's 10-second penalty is applied. 18 spots gained, bonus point for you to get to second in the invert race there. But what the bloody hell happened in race one, please?
Mate, ambition outweighed my ability. No, I put it in the wall myself, so yeah. I retired to the pits towed, and I think I ripped the rear wheel out of it and decided race 2 I better put my big boy pants on and tweak the setup, and it was an awesome couple of laps, so I might have to watch it later.
How hard was it, John? I mean, obviously you knew that the only way was forward, but getting your way through here, keeping your nose clean, and trying to make ground whilst also remaining fast and remaining clean. Easier said than done.
100% around here. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic little track, but as I think we said in the quali, but I knew, and I probably didn't have the speed for Denchi or Dylan, to be fair, but I knew I wouldn't get to them, but just the fight back. Sometimes it's, and I'm not encouraging reverse grid all, but mate, it makes for a good fun race.
Indeed it does. I mean, I'm all for the full invert, but I guess here it's unique, isn't it? Because unlike Formula V, where it's all just one class, have at it, we've got that multi-class format in place. So there are instances where some of the open split guys really do benefit from that invert because it gives them a leg up on their opponents. But it also means that you guys have got that equal challenge of not only trying to get past those guys that are in your own class, but for outright's sake, you've also got to contend with cars that are technically on the matrix slower than you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think I ended up with 2X, but I didn't get an X going through, which was nice. And most of those open guys, if they're where you're coming, they play pretty fair, and so it probably made my position game look better than it was. But most the racecraft was good from all of those guys coming through the field, and a good little track. I would have liked not to spend so much tyre those first sort of 5 laps, but is what it is when you got to come from the back.
Indeed. Thoughts on next week? Joe's already made it very clear that he's taking the week off. Will you be joining us for Aragon?
Don't own it, so I might have to purchase and cut a couple of laps. At least get to know the track anyway, other than MotoGP.
This is true. This is true. I recommend it. It's a good little racetrack, and Formula V goes all right around there as well for future reference. And of course Monday night we get stuck back into GT3 once more from Mugello. Have you had a crack at Mugello yet, John?
Don't think I own that either. So I made up the credit card's going to...
credit card bank's going to get some work out this week.
It's going to get a workout, yeah. So
good.
No, I'll cut a couple of laps around there and see if we can take it to Mr. M Dench this week. So
yes, he remains the Dench mark for a reason. Hey, very quickly, what do you make of the little teaser overnight with regards to iRacing and the rainfall, mate? I mean, the wait is nearly over. Everyone very excited about it. How are you chomping at the bit?
Can't wait. Can't wait. As an equaliser, it'll be good, and there'll be some guys obviously with some great skills in the wet. So I think it'll equalise the field, and another variable, and static for Adam Maverick listening, static rain or dry, please. But no, it should be awesome. While we get used to it anyway.
Well, I'm agreeing with you for sprint races at least.
Yeah.
For those 90-minute races, if there's a little bit of a spice up, I'm not going to complain. But then again, I've got the best seat in the house, and I don't have to contend with it. You guys are going to be the one that'll be kept on your toes and thinking on the go as this unfolds, and we're looking forward to seeing how that challenge plays out. And while I think of it with regards to Oran Park, what was there to be done in the way of any sort of fuel saving? I know that you're not the fuel saving type, John, but did you have to apply any of that tactic to working your way through here or not?
Oh, I think I left my brain at VIR, to be honest, Zach. So
fair enough, yeah.
I didn't realise that I was under a lap, and I went across the line at 0.8 of a lap of fuel. So on my in lap, I had to save, but it wasn't deliberate, to be honest, and I don't think it would have changed things. I think I took the same amount of fuel I'd intended. I just lost track of where I was at, to be honest. So probably summed up race 1, really.
Absolutely. Fair enough, mate. Hey, nice to catch up, as per usual. Go and watch the first practice session of the Formula 1 season before you call it a night. Well done tonight. Great work. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Zach. Pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Dylan Shepherd and Matt Dench, I'm going to bring you in simultaneously here and just do a little bit of back and forward because when we look at the statistics of this, +7 for Dench, +7 for Shepherd, 0.79 the winning margin. Geez. Dylan, well done to you. We had people in your corner commenting in our broadcast tonight saying that you were flying somewhat blind tonight, mate. So to be able to go from 6th to 2nd in race 1, put one up on Denchi and jam it down the inside of him, and then to back it up with a second in race 2, not a bad effort. But unfortunately, that second becomes a third because of a little bit of an incident with Ryan Howe down at turn 1. So let's focus on the positives, and then on the way back, we'll talk about that incident.
Yeah, 100%. Laz was saying, come race Oran Park. I was like, yeah, that's bloody awesome combo. Won a competition with the Shannon's Nationals a few years ago when they did the shootout and heat racing format, got a Formula 4 drive out of it, and that was the old Cup car around Oran Park. So I was like, I won that years ago. I was like, man, it'd be good to go back to old stomping ground, and I was lucky enough to race karts there back, 20-something years ago, whatever it was. But,
yep.
Yeah. So, it was awesome to get back into it. I think I did 13, 14 laps practice tonight in the official server, and then had pace, had fun, and as always.
Okay, so let's talk about that move on Denchi in race 1. What was the mindset there? Because we were only just saying 60 seconds before you jammed it down the inside that you three blokes had settled it into a rhythm. You knew that nothing was going to be won or lost here. We didn't think it looked like either of you were looking to make a move, engage in battle, or pull the trigger, so to speak, and then all of a sudden you jam it down the inside on Denchi and make a mockery out of everything we've just said.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right with the call you made. You know, we were pretty much line stern, and it was anyone tripped up, it was going to be a move, I think. So Corey was making a few mistakes here and there, and I can see the body language of Denchi. He was looking for a move as well whenever Corey made a mistake, and unfortunately just played in my hand, like one of Corey's mistakes, you know, kind of opened it up for Denchi, but then he kind of looked in the corner that wasn't going to pull off, and then that gave him a bad run into that chicane before the last corner. So, you know, I held him flat through there, and he would have had to lift because he was a bit tighter. So, just gave me a really good run, and you know, swing the brake bias back a few clicks so I don't lock up the fronts and send it in.
And, well, I guess that brings us to race 2, because once you got by Denchi, you were essentially protective cover for Corey at the front. There was no way you two were going to try and engage in battle and potentially come to blows, I should say. So talk me through race 2, because obviously the 1-2, which is great for the team, puts you back on row 5. And then you've got to work your way through the field. Easier said than done, and smallest bit of contact you on Ryan Howe at turn 1. There were mixed comments on this one. We could certainly see why race control threw 10 seconds at you. In saying that, you're going to go and have a chat to them about that. That's point 1. And point 2, there was someone jumping to your defence and saying that it didn't look as though enough room was left for you on the inside, although, you know, whether that meant that there wasn't enough room for the move to be made in the first place, or whether the door was being jammed shut on you, I'm not entirely sure, but I want your views on that incident.
Yeah, I've gone back and looked at the replay. It was very marginal, you know. I definitely sent it. I got up to his B pillar. He looked like just watching the body language of his car in the replay, it looks like he knows I'm there, but kind of thinks it's still his corner and turns in on me. Like, if I was race control, I'd still give me the penalty. Okay. You know, like in me as a driver, I'm going to send that any day of the week, but as a race control, I'd probably penalise that, so I'm not arguing it. It just kind of made me think, if I can't get Denchi, I've just got to drive away with him and put 10 seconds on the next car, and I think I missed out. I think I missed out on that by about half a second in the end, which would have been the one mistake I made at turn 2 with 2 laps to go. So, yeah, you know, it's all comes and goes. I'm not upset about it. No. It is what it is, and yeah, it was all good fun anyway.
0.59, the margin in which John Merritt pipped you by. In saying that, with the 10-second head start. In saying that, I love the racer attitude in that. It's almost like the old Ayrton Senna. If you no longer go for the gap that's there, you're no longer a racing car driver. So you've applied the same mindset and thought process to the sim, and I love that. And you cop it sweet. So good to see that you see both sides of the argument, but it wasn't going to deter you. Now, real world stuff is ramping up a notch. Prep's in full swing at the moment for the season ahead. How's everything going?
Yeah, really good. We've got a few kids stepping up into the team, either from Formula Ford into the Porsches or from Challenge into Cup. We've got such an awesome crew of kids this year. Testing is well underway. Got another couple of test days coming up. Everything so far so good, and yeah, we're all looking forward to, you know, smashing money out again this year.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're with Sonic, yeah?
Yeah.
That was right. So obviously the big news in the off-season was the shift from Sonic away from Formula Ford, mates. So how's that changed the environment of the workshop, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, in all, it's kind of it's just changed the team into really focusing on Porsche. It's not because that's what they wanted to do. It was, you know, there's obviously a lot of factors which isn't my area to comment on.
No, that's fine. Yep.
Yeah, you know, it was not a decision taken lightly from the team. I think it was, a very hard decision for Mick and Maria. But, you know, looking onwards, which is what we're all doing, is, just full focus on Porsche. And it's really just, all the the full team all on Porsches now. It's freed me up. I'm not doing all the cars myself. I've got some people with me now, so it's just made, you know, the quantity and quality of work we can get through is just even higher than years previous. Really just raising the level as much as we can.
It is a little bit of a shame because, I mean, it ends a very long association with the category, but that's business, mate. And everyone understands that sometimes, with best interest in mind for business, as hard as some decisions are, they have to be made, and therefore, you know, we call it evolution, progression, whatever you want to call it, and it's been very clear for a while that Sonic is very invested in Porsche, and we wish you guys the best of luck with that. What can we look forward to from you guys at Sonic there with regards to, I'm assuming both Porsche championships this year?
Yep, both Michelin Sprint and Carrera Cup.
And who are we keeping an eye out for, please?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say too much on the sprint side of things because
that's sort of really confirmed.
Yeah, right. It's not. I mean, it's confirmed on our side, but I don't want to make that announcement before the drivers have kind of
copy that.
You know, Carrera Cup, it's, you know, Marcus Flack stepping up from Sprint Challenge into Carrera Cup, which we saw him at Gold Coast last year getting a run in. So he's, you know, taken over Bob Jane car, which is really exciting. Another Sprint Challenge driver that's stepping up. I can't say too much on that one either, but you know, Missouri staying on board as well. So yeah, really good dynamic of experience and talent from both kids and all three kids we've got. And yeah, so far at test days, the setup feedback of both of them has been unreal, and it feels like we've developed the car a lot this year over previous years.
Yeah, and of course, Seagull Eye viewers watching through social media reels and stories and whatnot throughout the course of the week would have seen some of the Michelin Sprint guys being put through their paces on the Gold Coast the last couple of days as well. Hey, thanks for being a good sport about that and saying what you can, and we understand that you're, you know, at liberty not to disclose too much, but we do appreciate that. It is nice to catch up with you. We hope we'll catch up with you more often, but obviously the work schedule's about to ramp up a notch, so your involvement here will be, you know, pretty much based on your availability, based on whether you're going to be coming or going. And there's going to be, once the season starts, mate, she's going to go pretty quickly, and there's going to be a lot involved. Yeah,
100%. It's always good just to, you know, this is a series that you just know you can come to and have a good night. So, yeah, love that, and you'll see me around as always, and looking forward to it.
As a sim racer, before I let you go, I mean, obviously as a real world racer, you're very familiar with changeable conditions. Finally, the sim world's getting that treatment. I mean, give or take Aragon, that's next week. If you're here, you're here, and great if you are, but if not, beyond that, no doubt, licking the lips and getting ready to have a crack when the rain server launches.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we come from karting, and karting was always 10 times more fun in the wet. So I'm interested to see what the dynamic is going to be like, you know, with guys who haven't experienced wet driving before. I mean, it's going to be completely different in a sim than in a car, but it's going to be so interesting on how drivers and setups and races progress. Really looking forward to it. I don't know where we're going to stand on it. I don't have any confidence. I'm not doubting ourselves. It's just, I just have no idea. It's just a blank page, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, a clean slate for everybody, a great equaliser, just as it is in the real world. And I know you'll have some great stories from wet weather karting days. The best one I've got for everybody at home, the great people at the Manning Valley Kart Club, and I'm heading down there in October, the October long weekend for a state championship event. And I was running a race meeting in seniors, whether I was senior national light, I'm not sure. It might have been actually late juniors. I'm not. Memory escapes me on the date right now, but they ran half their track lights via power and half by generator. One night the power went out, so we lost half the track lights. And it's, where are we, 10:19, I can't quite say it yet, but it's tipping down rain. And Steve King, one of the great engine builders in New South Wales karting circles for many, many years, was also clerk of course. And he came in and addressed my group of karters that were out next on the grid, and they said, "Look, driver's call. If you want to race, we'll let you go." And we didn't have enough intelligence or brain cells among us to actually say, "Oh, look, you know, safety concerns. What are they? So we put the helmets on, got out there, and water and spray went everywhere, and I don't think I've ever had as much fun in the kart ever since. But yes, some great tales to tell with regards to wet weather racing over the years, and a couple of meetings that got called off, unfortunately, because there was just too much bloody water and not enough room to dispose of it, not enough drainage. But that's another story for another day as well. Hey, Dylan, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Well done, and looking forward to seeing you whenever you can be here, when commitments allow it, throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. And, you know, thanks, Denchi, for a really good race tonight. It was awesome. So, thanks, guys.
There he is, Dylan Shepherd. Good luck to you and the Sonic crew for the rest of the season as well. Make sure you stay in touch with those guys on socials and follow their progress throughout the Shannon Speed Series events, and also the supercar events that the Porsche categories will be supporting in 2024. On that subject, actually, earlier this afternoon, just before we got on air here, race times were advertised and confirmed for Race Tasmania, which is not this coming weekend, not next weekend, the one after, March 15 to 17. You'll see it between 9:30am Eastern Daylight Time and 4pm Eastern Daylight Time each day on 7+, 2 to 4pm each day on 7 Mate. 7 doesn't have any AFL commitments that weekend for AFL states, so 7 Mate will be housing that broadcast, and we can't wait. Good luck to all concerned. As we get ready to wrap things up here, let's bring in Matt Dench to have a chat very quickly. Denchy doing Dench things, but by gee, they made you work for it in race one, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely did. There was a really good pace out of the guys there tonight, which was really good to see. So hopefully everyone's got the pace for the remaining rounds, and it'll be nice and spicy.
I'm not sure if anyone else at home is having trouble hearing you, but you're very faint in my headphones at the moment, mate, so I'm not sure if you can up the volume there for me. Hey, let's talk me through the tactics of race one, because it didn't look as though you offered up any sort of fight when Dylan jammed it down the inside there. Certainly there was a moment in race two where the gloves were off and you wanted to race hard, race early, but race one, when you realised that you couldn't get by Corey, Dylan's one-upped you as well, and you were left to just consolidate third.
Yeah, race one. I moved the microphone a bit closer, but race one. It's really hard to overtake you when everyone's the same pace. So you just waiting for the guy ahead to make a mistake, and Corey made a couple of little wobbles in that middle windy section, and I went to throw it up the inside, and then second guessed it, and we just didn't get the run over that back little hill, and I kind of thought Corey might sit behind, he might send it, but P3 in race one is a solid effort for how close it was.
Now, as far as race two was concerned, because all those tactics are fair and equal for the race where the grid is set based on qualifying, but then they invert you. You go back to 8, and you got all that work to do again to move up through the field. Thankfully, the seas parted for you in some parts. There was a little bit of car-to-car contact and a little bit of good fortune, and also good management from some of the oversplit guys realising that they're not in your fight and they just let you on go. Adam Lavis, a prime example of that. But from your personal standpoint, how do you quickly go from one mindset of that 16-minute race to attacking and aggressively so for 27?
Yeah, most of the second split guys, if you place your car to the inside and at the start of the braking zones, they'll just leave the door open for you, which is what I did to Adam there. He just saw it was really wanting to get by, so he just let it happen. It was very kind.
Indeed. Now, I guess we've got to ask the question, because you tucked in behind, you followed Dylan Shepherd through. I mean, I don't know what happened. I should have asked Dylan what happened with Corey Lazarus at the start there, because he absolutely botched it. And that took one car out of the fight for you. You didn't have to worry about him. But when it came to pit lane, you were 2 seconds quicker through the transit than Dylan Shepherd. Did you run yourself a little bit low on juice?
I did the second last lap. I had to save a bunch, which let Dylan close right up, and then I saved enough to go flat out on that last lap to make sure we could hold the win.
Indeed, and that was actually enough to consolidate the round honours for you, I do believe, Denchi. Even though a couple of the bonus points went banging tonight, you didn't get the pole, you didn't get the fastest lap in race 2. But the W is most important, and a couple of your nearest protagonists in this championship fight were MIA tonight, so everything's falling into place nicely for you.
Yeah, we couldn't grab the clean sweep tonight. Yeah, like the guys are just running really good pace. So yeah, the fastest laps we had a pretty good crack at them, but couldn't quite get there. But yeah, race 1 we got a 0x race, so we grabbed a couple extra points in that one. But yeah, that was the only bonus ones we got tonight.
And that's all you need. That's all you need. Aragon, next week, thoughts?
I think last time I drove that was in the McLaren, which was the first time on the track, and the McLaren was really fun around there. So yeah, I'm thinking the Porsche should be pretty good. Might be a little bit tricky in a couple of spots, but it should be a really good track for Porsche, I think.
And as far as Monday nights are concerned, mate, you continue to hit your straps there, hit the markers, tick the boxes. Championship number 9's within reach there as well. That was clinical on Monday night at Mount Panorama. It didn't all go to plan. I mean, you got done by merit, but still second in the fight when he's not in the fight per se.
Yeah, like Merritt was absolutely flying. He had his setup dialed in, and yeah, we just settled in for the podium, and yeah, just ran it home. So
we actually, to be fair, that was force of habit on my part. We didn't actually watch your race Monday night. We only merely saw the results. So maybe a quick comment from you regarding that, because the BMW has been the car of choice for much of the season, but the old Fez met your match on Monday night, and it was kind of like a hark back to 3 years ago when Merritt had you measure in GT3.
Yeah, I think over the last couple of weeks I did 2 of the 12-hour like around Bathurst, and they were both in the Ferrari, so I was well attuned to driving a Ferrari there, not a BMW, that's for sure.
Fair enough. And obviously we're back to watching the exploits in GT3 on Monday night from Magello. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll have to purchase a track over the weekend and try and learn it.
You and Merritt as well. Yeah, righto. Okay. No one's got onto Magello just yet. And just salivating with the rain on the way, Denchi, you must be looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, if we can squeeze in a couple of bit of cheeky rain in these last 3 rounds or something, it'll be really fun.
Donations can be made under the table to Adam Lavis, who sets the servers up, I'm sure. You didn't hear that from me. Hey, Denchi, well done, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks. We'll catch everyone next week.
Absolutely will. There he is, Matt Dench, doing great things as per usual on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. So John Merritt, the clean sweep in Formula V. Corey Lazarus and Matty Dench sharing the spoils here. Dylan Shepherd going close to the round, but Dench will sneak through on that, I do believe, based on the fact that it was a first and a third versus a second and a third for Shepherd. We couldn't do this without the great people at Spreyton Cider. Of course, it is Spreyton Cider Thursday Night Motorsport, but along with that, Waste Options, of course, all the great people at Player One Sim Gear, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and Flash Graphics as well. Thank you to all of those aforementioned businesses, corporations, sponsors, and backers for getting on board with the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club in 2024, in term 1 at least. Those corporations and organisations and businesses and companies, you know, all the synonyms and antonyms I could throw at you right about now, but yes, a big thank you to all of them for getting behind what we do here, even into our 5th year and our 16th season. And we've never had, until tonight, a broadcast on February 29. Just let that sink in for a moment. GSRC merch.myshopify.com. The shop's now live. Merch.tgsrci.com takes you to the same place. Grab some GSRC paraphernalia for your wardrobe, and maybe even for a loved one as well. And feel free to, if you're not a racer or not a club member that tunes in on a regular basis, if you do get any of that merch, make sure you send it our way and let us know that you've got some, and let us know that you wear it and sport it and cheer it on. Race.GSRC.inc takes you through all the other information relevant to the club that you need, and also send you to where you need to go to sign up and join in the fun of what we do here. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms for GSRC. There's a lot to look forward to, and we start tomorrow night. Magello's the venue, Super Formula, open wings and slicks. That's open wheel wings and slicks is what I was trying to say. Jesus, I'm having an ad run at the end of the broadcast here. I've hit the wall, I think. Didn't sleep that well last night. Race 1 will be 15 minutes. Race 2 will be 20. Race 3 will be 20 as well. Reverse grid invert total for race 2, and the top 10 invert for race 3, so that really spices things up just nicely. Mountain Men, Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, the Audi 90 GTO. Baldwin's a big fan of the car. Be interesting to see the turnout go well. That is Saturday night, 8:30, 32 laps around Mount Panorama Bathurst. Then, of course, V8's past and present, the Oval Series, from yet to be confirmed venue, and therefore the amount of laps attached to it is not yet known either. 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday night for that. We're back on air Monday night. Barber Motorsport Park, the venue. We're getting stuck into the Super 2 for Player 1 Sim Gear from 7:50 Eastern Daylight Time. Then on to Magello. We'll bring you a race from the AM Split, a race from the Pro Split, GT3 for waste options. Magello the venue, race 1, 12 laps, race 2, 20 laps, 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time, it all gets underway. Tuesday night up and comers, the 2014 V8 Supercar and a TVA venue, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, 3 races on the agenda there, followed by a 35-minute rip and tear around Rod America. That'll be awesome for the GT1 Civil War, 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time. On Wednesday night, the Toyotas continue from the classic boot at Watkins Glen, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time, 2 races there. And then a short, sharp 40-minute sprint around Long Beach, California, the home of the Grand Prix for IndyCar, for the GT4 Challenge. And that is week 7 for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, getting underway 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Whether it's Le Mans, whether it's Sebring, whether it's Daytona, we don't care. We'll be here, ready to go for Spreyton side of Thursday Night Motorsport next Thursday night. Main course, Formula V, 7:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Cannot wait to sink our teeth into that, whichever the venue is. It'll produce some terrific racing, I am sure. Then on to Motorland Aragon. Joe Baldwin with expert comments and commentary for us, and looking forward to that immensely. 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it's a sprint round as well. There are a couple of those still to go in the championship campaign. That's it from us. We're done. Summer is done. February is done. One day longer than it is in non-Olympic years, but that's the fun of the fair. Happy birthday to anyone that actually got to celebrate their birthday, being born on February 29 today. Have a great weekend, everybody. Plenty to see and do. Don't forget the Enduro season starts next week from Watkins Glen. More on that on Monday night. And I was hoping to have Chapo here to have a chat about it post-broadcast, but it looks like he's disappeared. It'll be 4 hours. It'll be Watkins Glen. There will be a broadcast. I may be involved. I may be going to the football. I'm not 100% sure at this point in time. Formula 1 practice underway. The new season of the Formula 1 World Championship Round 1, Practice 1. Thursday practice. So there'll be 4 Grand Prix this year with Thursday practice. There'll be 3 races on the Saturday this year. 2 of them due to Ramadan, the other due to the time difference of Vegas. It's an historic Formula 1 season for all the right reasons. You can see that live on Fox Sports. There's plenty of great motorsport coming up throughout the course of the weekend as well. Of course, next week, MotoGP and IndyCar as well as Formula 1. So your sport for choice and NASCAR continues this weekend from Las Vegas as well. So plenty happening in the real world and the sim world. We hope you've enjoyed Thursday Night Motorsport. Thanks to Spreyton Cider on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across YouTube, Facebook and Twitch for this 6th week of the season. Yep, night 4, week 6, turn 1, done and dusted. Tick the box, we're out of here. On behalf of Daniel Correa-Sar, the rest of the broadcast, commentary and production team here, I'm Zach Caden bidding you a very good night. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. We hope you'll come back and join us on Monday night when week 7 ignites into full gear. Until then, have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy the Formula 1 and the cricket tomorrow as well. Australia against New Zealand, first test from Wellington. And everything else that's coming up. The NRL from Vegas on Sunday as well. It's a good time to be a sports fan. When isn't it, really? Especially in Olympic year. See you Monday. Bye for now.